Naruto Uzumaki rested his eyes on the sword at his side as he approached the massive gates of the Hidden Leaf, the same gates he had walked away from nearly half a decade ago. This isn't going to be enjoyable, Naruto mused silently. No kidding, came the growling response from deep within him. It's getting dull again in here. Shut it, Kyuubi, Naruto muttered back just as the gate guards stiffened at his approach, staring wide-eyed at the blonde shinobi. The boy they remembered was long gone. Years of relentless training had reshaped him. He was taller now, built with defined muscle that, while heavy-looking, didn't hinder his agility in the slightest. His once messy golden hair was now slicked back, streaked with crimson and ebony, tied in a ponytail by a silver band that fell to his shoulder blades. The familiar forehead protector had been replaced with a black band, stripped of any plate. His eyes, once a bright cerulean, had shifted into slitted, deep violet orbs, and the whisker-like marks on his cheeks had nearly faded away. His tan had deepened into a golden bronze. Gone was the orange jumpsuit. He now wore fitted black pants and sandals, a long-sleeved dark shirt over mesh armor. Silver armguards gleamed over his sleeves, while a gray armored vest covered his torso. Around his waist, a sash was tied with kanji for both death and guardian etched upon it. A pouch sat at his back, concealing dual kunai holsters at the base of his spine, with another set strapped to his legs. Tattoos and sealing scripts decorated his wrists, visible just above his gloves, black with steel plates on the fingers and backhand. At his hip, secured by the sash, rested his blade. His hand never strayed far from its hilt. Uzumaki, one of the guards called out. Naruto recognized them instantly, Genma Shiranui and Shikaku Nara. The one and only, Naruto replied with a smirk as he strolled past them. I'm here for the Hokage. My training's complete. You've been gone for years, kid. You can't expect to waltz in and demand an audience without following protocol, Shikaku countered, narrowing his eyes. Naruto sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Look, I'll explain everything to Hokage-sama, but right now, I can't waste time. In the blink of an eye, his form vanished. What the? Genma blurted out, staring at the empty space. How the hell is he that fast? Naruto reappeared within the Hokage's office, standing before a startled Tsunade and a very amused Jiraiya. Took you long enough, brat. I thought you might have stopped for sake, Jiraiya teased, handing a scroll to Tsunade. Well, since he finally showed up, I'm off. Later, Tsunade. With that, Jiraiya disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto, what on earth are you doing barging in like this? Tsunade demanded the instant her fellow Sannin was gone. Jiraiya-sensei ordered me to report directly here, Naruto replied calmly. You do want a summary of my training, don't you, Hokage-sama? Tsunade blinked at his tone. Since when do you call him anything besides Iro-sennin? And what about me? No more granny. It was childish. 5 years is a long time, Hokage-sama. I had to grow up, Naruto said firmly. When this is settled, I'd like to submit myself for ANBU evaluation. Jiraiya-sensei should have given you the scroll with my skill set. He did, Tsunade admitted, holding the document. Impressive list, but I don't rely on paper. I test shinobi myself before approving anything. You'll face a trial, with Sakura against Kakashi, to see if Team 7 can be reinstated. Naruto gave a sharp nod. When? Within the hour. Jiraiya said you had nothing pressing, so I pushed it forward. The others are already at the training grounds. Let's go. She vanished in a blur, Naruto keeping pace effortlessly. When they arrived, a crowd had gathered. Naruto quietly approached Sakura and Kakashi. When does this begin? He asked. Once I explain, Kakashi replied, producing 2 bells. This isn't like your genin test. You two must take these bells before sunrise tomorrow, or Team 7 is finished. Think you're up for it? Sakura tightened her gloves, while Naruto's fingers curled around his sword hilt. Good. Come at me like you mean to kill. I won't hold back either. Kakashi lifted his forehead protector, revealing the Sharingan. Begin! Sakura prepared to charge, but Naruto stopped her with a hand on her shoulder. Leave Hadake-san to me. My methods don't suit teamwork, she smirked. Fine, I'll be here to save you when you get flattened. With that, she retreated into the trees. Naruto unsheathed his sword, letting the tip hang downward. Bankai, he whispered, dropping the blade. It sank into the ground as though into water. Darkness spread across the training field. Scatter, Senbenzakura Keijioshi. From the earth rose massive blades, shattering into a storm of glowing petals. What in the world? Tsunade muttered from the sidelines. Senkei, Senbenzakura Keijioshi. A vortex of petals engulfed the field, clearing to reveal an immense dome lined with countless rows of shining swords stacked high. Kakashi Hatake, Naruto declared coldly, a sword forming in his grasp. Behold this art, it will be the last sight you witness. Kakashi's Sharingan spun as he prepared himself. Naruto vanished, reappearing in front of him. Kakashi barely intercepted the strike with a kunai, only for the blade to shear through it effortlessly. He leapt back, but Naruto was already on him. 3 blades fragmented into petals, darting toward Kakashi. He spat a torrent of fire, only to see the petals carve straight through. The flames bought him just enough time to vanish into smoke, attacking from behind, only for Naruto to catch his wrist and slam him into the ground, hurling his sword like a spear. Kakashi barely managed to trap the blade between his palms, its tip grazing his nose. Naruto was already there, driving a palm strike into his stomach. Snatching his weapon back, Naruto exhaled. Bankai Tensa Zanjetsu. A black and crimson maelstrom engulfed him. When it cleared, his appearance had transformed. He wore a white undershirt beneath a black shihakusho, flaring into 3 coattails behind him. Gloves wrapped his hands, black outside and white inside, marked with crosses. His blade had become a long, pitch-black sword with jagged edges, a manji-shaped guard, and a chain looping from the hilt to his glove. This ends quickly, Kakashi, Naruto warned. In a blur, Kakashi collapsed with a deep slash across his chest. Naruto appeared behind him, dark energy dripping from his blade. Getsuga Tensho. A crescent of black and crimson tore through the dome, detonating in a massive blast. Naruto calmly slid his sword into its sheath. What the hell was that, Naruto? Tsunade shouted as Sakura and Shizune rushed to heal Kakashi. Ino was summoned soon after. Naruto caught a kunai from behind, tearing a scroll from it. His eyes narrowed. Of course, Taka. After skimming it, he sighed. So they finally move. I may have been too showy. Office, now, Tsunade barked. As you wish, Naruto replied before disappearing, leaving only dust. Incredible, Guy whispered, appearing beside Tsunade. That speed faster than even me. He's already at the tower. Tsunade turned grim. No word of this leaves here. Asuma, Inoshikacho, wipe out every root nearby. In an instant, screams echoed from the forest. Moments later, Asuma emerged, hauling a body. Kurenai I left 4 alive. Captains, Shikaku, Choza, and Inoichi followed with unconscious Root, their minds already under interrogation. Ino, with me, Inoichi instructed. His daughter nodded, kneeling beside one of the captives to link her mind with his. She wove together several parasitic-style genjutsu techniques, creations of the Yamanaka clan, which leached off her target's chakra and manifested their darkest fears, steadily dismantling their mental defenses. Afterward, she released small probes, carefully scouting for hidden traps and deliberately triggering them to ensure her own safe passage forward. Nearly half an hour passed before she finally opened her eyes, just moments after Inoichi finished cutting down the last of the Root operatives. I've collected everything we need, Ino said firmly, placing her hand on her father's shoulder and allowing him access to her mind. Inoichi entered his daughter's consciousness, brows furrowed, and within seconds withdrew with the information he was after. Your defenses are stronger than before, but you need more misleading triggers and layered barriers, Inoichi instructed. It might take me days to reach your core now, but you can still do better. Remember, once an enemy breaches your mind, they may discard you, whereas I prefer to leave my opponent's psyche intact after extraction. His daughter nodded in understanding. With that, the assembled shinobi blurred from sight and reappeared at the Hokage's office within minutes, where Naruto was engrossed in a poker game against 2 of his shadow clones. Each clone bore stark differences in appearance. One clone's eyes were pitch black, where Naruto's shone violet, and he wore a tattered dark brown cloak almost black in shade, layered over a frayed white dress shirt. The second clone was draped in a crimson cloak, 9 tail-like designs etched across its back. His crimson eyes gleamed dangerously, whisker marks thicker and deeper, nails elongated into claws. How do you keep winning every single hand? The crimson-eyed clone finally snapped. 3 rounds in half an hour and you've claimed them all. Or maybe he's simply that skilled, the black-eyed clone replied in a calm, silky voice, the polar opposite of the harsh, guttural tone of his counterpart. "Shut it," the crimson-eyed one snarled, slamming the table over in frustration. "I'm done." He disappeared in a violent surge of red chakra and smoke. The black-eyed clone only sighed, giving Naruto a knowing nod before dispersing in his own swirl of black and blue chakra. Naruto glanced at the scattered cards and broken table before pressing his palm to a seal, dismissing the mess in a puff of smoke. Turning to Tsunade, he spoke flatly, his face blank and emotionless. "Hokage-sama, I see you've finally come. What do you wish to ask me?" "That sword," Tsunade said, settling into her chair. "What exactly is it?" "I call it a Zanpakuto. As far as I know, the only one of its kind," Naruto replied. "Soul Slayer, why that name?" Tsunade pressed. "Simple." Naruto unsheathed the blade and leveled it toward her. "This steel represents my soul, its sharpness my will. Should my soul ever shatter, the steel will crumble. If my will weakens, the blade dulls." "And its ability?" Tsunade leaned forward, chin in her hands. "Many things," Naruto said with a faint smirk, holding the weapon horizontally with his other hand at its base. "Roar, Zabumaru!" Crimson light engulfed the katana as it transformed into a massive segmented blade, 6 sections chained together, each one larger than the last with protruding spikes. Naruto slashed outward, the weapon snapping like a whip, extending far beyond normal length and ricocheting around the room to form a cage of spinning steel. "That's it?" Tsunade asked, unimpressed. "Not even close." Naruto channeled more chakra. "Bankai Hihio Zabumaru!" An eruption of crimson energy enveloped him as the weapon morphed into a monstrous fusion of a skeletal serpent and the segmented sword, layered with spikes along its spine and crowned with a snake's skull, a scarlet mane flowing behind. The construct towered several times Naruto's size as he controlled it with ease. In this form, the serpent's maw can release chakra blasts, concentrated beams, rapid barrages, or sustained streams. And I can merge its abilities with my other blades. The most effective combination is alongside Tenkin and its Bankai, Kokujo Tenjin Maio. "Show me," Tsunade ordered. With a sigh, Naruto's chakra surged. Bankai, Kokujo Tenjin Maio. A colossal armored giant materialized, wielding Hihio Zabumaru while mirroring Naruto, who stood upon its shoulder. Anything empowered under this Bankai gains tremendous power and resilience. Its armor can be reinforced with chakra and adjusted in scale as needed. "Is this some Kekkei Genkai?" Tsunade asked. "No, but only Uzumaki blood can wield them," Naruto answered. "If a regular shinobi so much as touches these blades, their chakra is ripped away. Without cage-level reserves, they'd die instantly. Think Samehada, then multiply its hunger tenfold." "You'll need to refine this power," Tsunade replied. "Such a weapon could cement Konoha's dominance." Naruto gave a cold smirk before vanishing without a word. He reappeared among his shadow clones, who were overseeing work on the Namikaze Uzumaki compound. "This is it?" Naruto asked. The clones nodded, then dispersed instantly. Surveying the compound, Naruto muttered, "Bit excessive, Taka." "It was required," a voice answered. "I cleared root agents and restored what they destroyed, knowing you'd return tonight." "Taka, get down here," Naruto ordered. From above, a masked figure in a black trench coat descended, blue hawk designs etched on the mask. "As you wish, Naruto Dono," Taka replied, his tone dripping amusement. "Drop the honorific already," Naruto snapped, glaring. "Of course, Naruto Dono," Taka teased before breaking into laughter. "I'll kill you," Naruto roared, drawing his Zanpakuto. "Reap, Keishini." The blade split into 2 massive Kusarigama-like weapons connected by a chain, one inverted like a pinwheel. Naruto hurled them with lethal precision, air blades slashing out. Taka barely dodged, suffering only a scrape as he evaded the spinning steel. Shadow clones intercepted the next strikes, dissipating instantly. "You truly despise formality," Taka smirked as Naruto recalled his weapons, merging them back into a single katana. "Just hand me the scroll," Naruto demanded. Taka sighed, producing a sealed document. "This was all I could secure." Naruto skimmed the contents, a grin forming. "Good enough. Once Akatsuki moves, I'll counter them with ease. Stay ready to intercept if needed." "Already done," Taka replied as blue-skinned operatives emerged from the shadows. "Your seals are in place. Any attempt on the Jinchuriki will alert me. See they fail, Naruto said before departing. I never fail, Uzumaki-san, Taka muttered before dissolving into shadows, leaving the village entirely. Later, Naruto sipped tea, reviewing Taka's intel, when a seal on his hand flared. So, Akatsuki finally strikes against Gaara, no less, bold to attack him in the desert. The Ikibai proved cooperative after our little chat, Naruto muttered, activating the seal and warping straight to Sunagakure. He arrived just in time to witness Gaara clashing with Deidara. Taka intercepted, chaining the bomber and sealing his chakra, while Naruto sensed Sasori approaching. His clones surged forward, summoning Zanpakuto with eager grins as Sasori prepared himself for the storm. 5 minutes before Naruto's arrival. Sand coffin! Damn it! The blonde Akatsuki perched atop his massive clay bird evaded Gaara's sand tendrils, opening the mouths on his palms to unleash swarms of explosive clay moths. Give it up already, kid. Your sand isn't going to withstand the might of my art. The blonde shouted, only to jerk aside as a barrage of black arrows came flying, hands already moving into a sign. Katsu, the heavens lit with explosions, but Gaara's sand cut straight through, surging toward the clay bird and its rider. In seconds, it collapsed into a sphere, shrinking tightly around its prey. You've got to be joking, Deidara cursed as he vaulted off the faltering bird. Katsu! The sand sphere detonated outward, instantly reforming into a compressed orb, and the bomber's pupils shrank. He baited me. Suneton, grand bullet storm, Gaara's voice echoed as the sphere unraveled into countless shots. The fool's cornered, Ikibai's chakra is flowing in the sand. One touch and he'll be bound in sealing formulae. He won't even twitch, let alone form jutsu. Suspended in midair, the red-haired Kazekage sat cocooned in his sand globe, manipulating the battle from within. His opponent bit his lip before weaving signs and taking a deep breath. Dotten, earth skin! Deidara barked as his body coated itself in stone moments before pebble-sized grains slammed into him. Damn it, Gaara muttered when a plume of smoke revealed a massive white hawk. The bomber launched a swarm of clay dragonflies, only for Gaara's sand to lash out, shredding them. But Deidara, balanced atop his clay bird, glided out of reach with ease. You're not clipping me this fast, brat. This hawk's built for speed, Deidara shouted, hand-mouths chewing up clay from his pouch. He molded a shape and tossed it, chakra humming in the creations as Gaara's sand chased relentlessly. Try these, Deidara roared, scattering clay hawks that burst into being, darting straight for the Jinchuriki. Pathetic, Gaara muttered, raising more sand that wrapped tightly around him, doubling his defenses. Seeing an opening, Deidara hurled handfuls of clay moths against Gaara's barrier. He knows nothing's breaching my shield. I can tell he's running low too, always dipping into those pouches. He can't just conjure it endlessly, Gaara thought, chakra flooding faster into his grains. If this fails, I'll need to pull out that, Deidara grimaced, feeling how little clay remained in his pouches. Barely enough for a final gamble. If intel's right, it'll finish him. Let's up the stakes, Deidara yelled, hurling new creations into the sky. 4 massive clouds erupted, dragons uncoiling in the air. Gaara's stomach tightened. He recognized them instantly from Naruto's reports. C2 dragons, dangerous, flexible. Even Naruto admitted Taka couldn't learn much before retreating. As the beast's maws swelled, Gaara's sand rippled. Time for a bombing run, Deidara smirked, positioning himself between them. Each dragon spewed clay bugs, flooding the sky. Your chakra, Shukaku, Gaara called silently. Don't even ask, brat. I've been itching to rip this lunatic apart. Shukaku's laughter surged in his mind as chakra coursed through him, faster and heavier. The clay insects split apart, becoming winged constructs, swarming toward Gaara. You're safe, kid. My shield is absolute. Bring him down already, Shukaku howled. Thank you, Gaara replied, molding seals. Desert-style, great sand burial, he declared, colossal waves of sand surging to grasp the dragons. But Deidara only smirked, flashing a sign. Katsu! The dragons erupted violently, shattering layers of sand shield and rattling Gaara's defenses. Seizing his chance, Deidara dove in on his hawk, only for a sudden cry to cut through the chaos. Now, a rain of kunai shredded his mount. Reflex alone saved him as he flickered with Shunshin. He began forming another bird midair, only for Taka to lunge from hiding, slicing the creation apart and binding the bomber in sealing chains, a suppression tag slapped to his leg. "Gaara, are you unharmed?" a voice called. Inside his cocoon, Gaara turned toward the masked figure hovering beside him. "I'm fine, Taka. Has Naruto arrived?" The operative nodded. "He's already engaged Deidara's partner, Keisuke-sama." Relief washed over Gaara. "Good. If that one had struck here, even the Ikibai and I together might not have held long." But then a massive plume of smoke erupted beyond the village, and Gaara's gaze snapped to the crimson figure revealed above it. "That's Red Secret Technique, Ultimate Show," a red-haired teen shouted. His torso was wooden, a scroll carrier on his back, blades spinning at his hips, and a metal tail with a stinger jutting from his hollow stomach. A glowing core bearing the kanji for scorpion pulsed in his chest. 1,000 puppets, one of the blonde copies around the walls shouted. "Boss only gave us Zabumaru and Keishini against this monster. How do we fight this?" "Who said we're limited?" Another clone grinned, his segmented sword reverting to a katana. As misty chakra flowed back into him, he raised it high. All things reduced to ash, Ryujin Jaka. The night sky ignited into roaring infernos at Suna's gates, flames devouring the horizon. "You'd be a perfect puppet, brat. Shame I'll dismantle you on principle," Sasori sneered. But the blonde clone cut free his upper robes, revealing the blazing blade. "You don't get it, puppet boy," the clone smirked as fire roared. "You think your wooden shell makes you untouchable, but you're about to learn otherwise." Sasori only laughed, blue threads glowing brighter as his army stirred. "Run your mouth, Uzumaki. My masterpiece can tear down even the Kyuubi itself. The fragments you carry mean nothing." The clones readied their weapons. "Since I'm using Ryujin Jaka, the rest of you use something beneath it," the wielder commanded. "No worries, I've got Zabumaru. Keishini will cover your flank. Grow Hazukimaru, pray Santa Teresa, snap Tobium, scatter Senbenzakura, grind Pantera, kick about Los Lobos." Power erupted from each clone, chakra storms blasting outward toward the puppets. Sasori grinned, his front line raising massive chakra barriers to block the wave. "You forgot me, brat," a voice came through the haze. "Los Lobos is loaded." A clone emerged, twin ornate pistols in hand, dressed like a gunslinger draped in fur and ribbons, exuding raw menace. "Don't hog the fun, I'm with you," another growled, body twisted with insectal arms and scythes, carapace gleaming under the moon. "Santa Teresa craves blood tonight." "I'm here too, you bastards," another voice chimed in as a figure stepped forward, looking more unusual than the rest. "Pantera has been itching for a good fight ever since the boss last called on it." The clone's appearance shifted drastically. His teeth sharpened into jagged points, and his long blonde hair stretched down to his knees, now straight and untamed. His hands twisted into dark claws while his feet transformed into black-taloned paws. From the base of his spine, a whip-like tail lashed outward. His entire frame was covered in sleek, segmented white armor, each forearm and leg equipped with 3 descending blades, the largest near the elbow and knee, shrinking toward the hands and ankles. A serrated blade protruded from the back of each calf, and a jagged crown-like crest formed across his forehead. With a sinister grin, he extended his claws, nearly 5-inch razor talons, while streams of chakra sharpened every blade along his body into lethal weapons. "Looks like we're the shield," said the clone bearing Zabumaru, addressing the one wielding Keishini as both jumped back to guard the entrance. "I'll pitch in," another clone spoke, hefting a spear with a waxwood shaft and a crimson horsehair tassel hanging from its base. "Hazukimaru is desperate for some action, even if it's against this trash." "Count me in," a fourth added, his katana appearing ordinary except for 3 prongs jutting out, 2 on one side of the blade at top and bottom, and a single one at the base on the opposite edge. "Tobium, then let's crush this brat," declared the clone wielding Ryujin Jaka as flames erupted around him in a violent blaze. "Let's tear them apart," Pantera's clone roared, unleashing a bestial shout that blew several incoming puppets off their feet. He leapt into the fray, unleashing feral taijutsu maneuvers that fully exploited the deadly blades mounted on his armor. "Take this!" cried the clone using Los Lobos, unleashing rapid barrages of energy shots that shredded through the puppets, blocking his path as he advanced step by step. The wielder of Santa Teresa screamed wildly, becoming a whirlwind of carnage as his 6 scythe-like blades spun, each charged with chakra. Fiery spheres rained down on puppets near the village gate, each exploding violently on impact. A soft stream of petals carved gracefully through a dozen charging constructs, ripping them apart effortlessly. Sasori drew another scroll from his back and hurled it down. It unrolled instantly, releasing more crimson-robed puppets that rushed at the clones. Burn! Ryujin Jaka's flames surged forward, reducing the fresh wave of puppets to ash. You overlooked me, Sasori of the Red Sand, bellowed Ryujin Jaka's clone as fire spiraled into a blazing barrier, separating him from Sasori. Sasori chuckled darkly as a compartment in his arm opened, sliding out another scroll. Tossing it skyward, a chakra string shot from his finger to unravel it. So eager to die, you'll never overcome this puppet, Sasori taunted as smoke engulfed his form. The 8 clones outside the inferno arranged themselves in a defensive circle as Sasori's ultimate red secret technique. A grand performance enclosed them. Ryujin Jaka's flames blind Sasori's sight. It's running on its own now, Zabumaru noted. We'll carve through his toys, 100 each should do it. I'm in, Pantra growled, flexing his claws eagerly. Let's rip them apart. No, Los Lobos snapped, pistols at his sides. If we all rush out, they'll break for the village. We need strategy. I'll cover the gates with Keishini, Tobium added as he and Keishini clones leapt back into position. I'll hold this line with Santa Teresa, said Senbin Zakura, reforming his blade as they took a stance before the fire. If Sasori calls them, we won't let his puppets through. Boss just flooded us with chakra, we can all trigger Bankai. Bankai, scatter, Senbin Zakura Keijoshi. His sword plunged into the earth, birthing towering blades that split into endless streams of petals. Bankai, Ryuman Hazukimaru, cried Hazukimaru's wielder, who now held a guandao and monk's spade, both with flowing tassels and weighted pommels, linked by chains to a massive axe-like center bearing dragon crests. Bankai Hihio Zabumaru, roared Zabumaru's clone, summoning the colossal skeletal serpent to coil protectively around him. Move out! Santa Teresa screamed, spinning into the horde with his 6 scythes thrashing. Hikatsu Teiho, Zabumaru unleashed, blasting a massive crimson wave that obliterated dozens of puppets. Guerra de la Pantera. Pantera fired green darts from his armor, piercing the swarm in front of him. Los Lobos was swarmed from both sides. Calmly raising both pistols outward, he flooded them with chakra. Ciro Metroletta, he declared, unleashing a storm of energy bullets that shredded puppets left and right. Zabumaru's serpent smashed through several hulking puppets making for the village, just as another scroll soared above Sasori's flames. Reinforcements incoming, shouted a clone racing out of the fire before collapsing, pierced by blades. He detonated upon impact, dragging more puppets down with him. Pantera, handle it, Los Lobos barked. Pantera grinned and launched forward, ripping one puppet apart with a kick before hurling another's blades like spinning saws to slice through 3 more. Channeling chakra into his claws until they glowed fiercely, he slashed the air in rapid arcs, launching crescent blades at a massive wave of approaching puppets. Discaron! He roared, chaining in brutal kicks, each swing birthing chakra blades that tore through the horde. He crushed a brute from behind with his elbow before shredding another with 5 glowing darts. A puppet creeping up from behind lost its head to Pantera's clawed kick. He surged forward again, Discaron after Discaron, turning himself into a tornado of fangs and steel. Behind you, Zabumaru warned, shielding Pantera with his serpent as brutish puppets struck. The serpent shattered from the impact, leaving Zabumaru exposed. Idiots, Zabumaru muttered, channeling chakra through the segments. The puppets were instantly bound in glowing chains before he crushed them into splinters. His serpent quickly reformed. Tobium appeared in a blur, swinging upward to release dozens of fiery spheres. They expanded midair into massive fireballs, each detonation wiping out groups of puppets. Need backup? Tobium asked. Zabumaru nodded, chakra drain evident. Hold on, I'll cover from here, Zabumaru replied as his serpent shielded them, leaving gaps for Tobium to attack through. Streams of fire erupted from Tobium's blade, burning puppets into ash. This is going to be a grind, Tobium sighed, releasing another fiery torrent that consumed 8 more. Santa Teresa continued carving through the masses as Los Lobos cleared a path toward him. Can you destroy that scroll near Ryujin Jaka? Pantera's running low on chakra, Los Lobos called out. I can't leave this spot, Santa Teresa said flatly, hacking enemies apart. If I move, they'll break through. Gran Rey Zero, he roared, unleashing a golden beam that disintegrated waves of puppets. Los Lobos followed with dual Zero Metraleta, finishing the survivors. You're good now. I'll keep the rest off you, Los Lobos confirmed, just as a blizzard of petals sliced through the battlefield. Senbin Zakura stood atop the wall, petals swirling in every direction, while Keishani fought beside him, catching attacks and countering ferociously. Come here, Keishani growled, hurling one scythe forward. It coiled around a dozen puppets, and when chakra surged, the chain became a roaring saw that shredded them before snapping back. Any slip past us? Keishani asked. A few, but boss has Zangetsu clones outside. If we can't contain them, he'll bombard the area, Senbin Zakura replied. Just as he finished, explosive-packed puppets blew a gaping hole through the petal wall. Dozens slipped free as another collapsed, releasing scrolls from its shattered frame. GETSUGATNSHOU. The cry echoed faintly, caught only by the two nearby, before Senbin Zakura resealed the barrier. An overwhelming surge then came crashing down like a violent tide upon the puppets and the scrolls they had released. Did you manage to grab them? Keishani asked, as he hurled one of his chakra-imbued scythe-like blades. It tore straight through a cluster of puppets before circling back into his grip. No luck, Senbin Zakura replied, his petals being scattered by another fresh wave of puppets bursting from each scroll. A few hundred in every release, this is draining fast, Keishani muttered, flinging both of his blades outward. They shredded dozens before spinning back toward him. Send word to the boss, we'll need backup, Senbin Zakura urged after a pause. We can't hold this alone. Suddenly, a column of fire erupted, drawing their eyes. Several clones appeared in a flash step behind them. Did he win? Tobium asked cautiously. From the smoke, a lone silhouette stumbled forward, causing the clones to prepare themselves just in case. The haze thinned, revealing Sasori, who stood behind a blank mannequin-like figure. Ryujin Jaka's grip on his blade tightened instantly. What the hell is that? It doesn't even look like a puppet, Ryujin Jaka demanded. Sasori's laugh answered him as glowing chakra threads linked into the mannequin. It rose to its full size, joints snapping into place as he tested its movements. This, Sasori said with madness flickering in his eyes, is my masterpiece in the art of puppetry. It's not bound by weakness, nor limited to simple offense or defense. It surpasses anything your imagination could comprehend or survive against. His grin widened. And with it, I'll tear you apart. The puppet lunged. Ryujin Jaka rolled aside, his blade igniting with fire as he attempted to cleave it in one strike. Instead of being destroyed, the puppet split apart at the seam, its hollow body sealing back up. Inside, Ryujin Jaka glimpsed layers of glowing seals. That was all kinds of seals stacked. A few ninjutsu specialists worked on this. Even Jiraiya struggled with layering despite my father's help. Ryujin Jaka smirked as he jumped back. Finally, something interesting. If I can kill Sasori without destroying it, boss will have a new toy. If not, I'll drag Sasori back alive and make him reveal who crafted it. Sasori's hands danced, and the puppet's arms morphed into curved blades, swiping viciously. Ryujin Jaka narrowly dodged. Teimatsu, he roared, flames surging from his weapon, racing toward the puppet. The puppet leapt high, seals glowing on its palms before firing water bullets that rained down, forming pools that hissed against the fire. You think water can snuff out Ryujin Jaka's flames? Ryujin Jaka shouted, fury in his voice. His sword answered, blazing even hotter. One furious slash burned away the water, his chakra surging to sweep away the mist. Sasori's smile grew darker as he pulled the puppet down. Explode, he ordered. The puppet pulsed, and Sasori dove underground with earth release. Ryujin Jaka enclosed himself in a fiery dome that burned into the ground as the puppet detonated. The massive blast nearly smothered his flames, but he forced a surge of chakra to reignite them. Sasori emerged from underground, smirking. It was a bomb all along, Ryujin Jaka asked, narrowing his eyes. Sasori lifted a hand toward the sky, claws curling as he yanked downward. Red secret technique, Iron Maiden, he bellowed. Shattered puppet fragments elongated into katana-length blades, streaking down toward Ryujin Jaka. You little brat, Ryujin Jaka roared, unleashing a blazing wave that reduced the blades to ash instantly. You think cheap tricks can extinguish my flames? Still grinning, Sasori manipulated the ash. Ryujin Jaka cursed as he realized it was reforming, reshaping into the puppet once more. Damn, this construct is no joke. Time to step it up. Another sword materialized in his grasp, its guard shaped like a cat's head, the ears formed by twin triangles. The handle was wrapped in dark crimson. Growl, hey Nico, Ryujin Jaka commanded. The blade dissolved into a storm of ash, coalescing into the form of a massive wild cat. It roared, scattering scorching embers before lunging forward. The ash cat split apart mid-leap into multiple streams, striking from every angle, above, behind, and from the flanks, each tipped with razor-sharp burning edges. You keep surprising me. Sasori laughed as the puppet glowed and multiplied into a dozen copies. Half charged Ryujin Jaka, while the rest encircled Sasori, forming chakra threads into interlinked barriers that created a shimmering dome. The attacking puppets rushed faster. One puppet's chest opened, seals glowing before unleashing a torrent of weapons. Ryujin Jaka melted them with flames or shredded them with ash. Another formed buzzsaws, whirring wildly until Ryujin Jaka shattered it with a single fiery punch. Two others disassembled into raining blades, only to be trapped in a dome of ash and skewered by spikes. The last two used streams of water to counter fire and ash, but spears of flame laced with ash pierced straight through, splitting them apart. This is becoming irritating, Sasori muttered within his protective dome. He merged the remains back into the original blank mannequin, a seal glowing on its face as a chakra cannon charged. You idiot, Ryujin Jaka spat. Heiniko's ash was already packed into the weapon's barrel. At the same time, he unleashed a torrent of fire against Sasori's shield. The barrier held. Ryujin Jaka cursed, rolling aside as the puppet sacrificed itself to unleash the beam. He conjured a wall of tightly packed ash, stopping the blast before slamming a hand onto the ground. Die already, insolent brat, Ryujin Jaka roared, sending a massive tide of ash crashing forward. Seals spread across the ground at his touch. You first, Sasori snapped back, his puppet reforming then shattering into dozens of smaller figures that swarmed toward Ryujin Jaka. Growling, Ryujin Jaka sent pillars of ash bursting upward, crushing them and trapping their pieces. He's dangerous, Sasori admitted internally. He's countered every move I've made, but where is he pulling all that ash from? My puppets aren't burning, flame-resistant seals protect them. He should have run dry long ago. He detonated several puppet fragments to break through the ash, salvaging a handful of copies. Half are gone. If this keeps up, I won't last. And without them, my shield fails. Sasori flicked a scroll from his back, unfurling it across the battlefield. Time to handicap him. The scroll burst open, releasing a massive wave of sand. Ryujin Jaka swore. He's trying to bury my ash and choke out the flames. I don't have enough chakra left for another Heiniko summon. I'll have to move it. Raising his hand, he directed the ash upward, forming a heavy black cloud that blanketed the battlefield, particularly around Sasori and his barrier. Let's see how well he fights blind. The ash thickened, choking the air, as Ryujin Jaka infused his flames into a single shape, a spear of fire molded into the form of a bird. Take this, you little pest, Hooken. Phoenix Blade, Ryujin Jaka bellowed with fury. No time to hesitate, I've got to use it. Sasori muttered frantically, his hands flashing through a storm of seals before slamming down onto the floor. Forbidden technique, summoning puppet arsenal. The blazing inferno twisted the air, and in a flash the battlefield shifted. The flames gave way to a vast chamber, resembling a monstrous workshop. Rows upon rows of half-finished puppets, discarded limbs, weapons, and sealing tags filled the space. Sasori now sat calmly on a table, legs folded, fingers alive with chakra threads connecting to everything in the room before vanishing from sight. I despise being forced to use this technique, Sasori's voice echoed, his eyes narrowing. Ryujin Jaka recalled Heiniko, swirling a cyclone of ash and embers around himself, prepared to devour any assault. Oh yeah. And why's that? Ryujin Jaka asked, shoulders taut as he studied the hostile environment his opponent had conjured. Because it ends too fast. Sasori smirked, his expression suddenly crazed. I enjoy dragging things out, playing with my prey, but in this place, it's impossible to restrain myself. Hidden launchers unfolded from the rafters, raining arrows down like a storm. Ryujin Jaka's flames vaporized them instantly, but more blades and weapons flew from every direction. With a curse, the clones swung Heiniko and Ryujin Jaka together, lashing out with flame and ash to intercept the barrage. Each strike of fire consumed, each burst of ash shredded, but slowly the circle around him shrank. His chakra drained rapidly. Damn it, I shouldn't have used Hooken. That technique already ate most of my chakra. Ryujin Jaka thought bitterly before exhaling. Guess I'll have to push for Bankai. I'll take him down with me if that's what it takes. The workshop's countless fires suddenly spiraled into Ryujin Jaka's blade, the clone gripping it firmly with both hands. Ash twisted violently around him, forming a razor-edged vortex. Bankai! The chamber quaked as fire and chakra erupted outward, tearing through Sasori's onslaught and raising the temperature to an unbearable level. The flames shifted from orange-red to a terrifying shade of midnight blue. Zenka no Takai! The sword transformed into an adachi, its inner edge jagged like a saw while the outer was razor-smooth. The guard was gone, replaced by a black hilt bound in gold cloth. So, you're really serious now? Sasori chuckled, his arms spreading wide to summon a legion of weapons. But do you think just making your sword bigger will give you the advantage against me and my arsenal? You fool, Ryujin Jaka growled, gripping his blade tightly. This isn't just a longer sword. Look closer at the flames. Sasori glanced at the unnatural blue glow staining the workshop. He raised a brow but dismissed it. So they're blue now, pretty but I can still kill you. He smirked, more amused than concerned. Though I'll admit the atmosphere suits me, makes me want to pierce you with everything I've got. Then try it, Ryujin Jaka roared, vanishing forward in a burst of speed. Wave after wave of weapons surged, yet every single one dissolved into nothingness inches from his body. What? Sasori's eyes widened in disbelief. He quickly unleashed chakra cannons from the ceiling and walls, firing a relentless volley, only for those two to vanish before making contact. No way, Sasori screamed, frantically sending puppet after puppet into the fray. Die, 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 he shrieked, even hurling entire tables at the clone. But nothing survived. The ash grew denser with every step Ryujin Jaka took. Everything within reach, puppets, walls, even the ground beneath, crumbled into dust and void. Hey, Nico! The ash flooded to the Nadachi, igniting with molten fury. The blade cracked apart as glowing magma bled through fissures, resembling obsidian plates with fire raging beneath. This ends now, Ryujin Jaka roared, pouring the last of his chakra into a shunsen, appearing directly before Sasori. The blade cleaved through him without resistance. Am I being defeated? Sasori's final thoughts flickered in fragments. Was everything I did meaningless? Immortality, was it always a delusion? I only wanted companionship, but nobody ever cared. I was just the abandoned orphan who sought greatness, but even then I was alone. Maybe, if I'd stayed in the village, maybe things could've. The blade erased everything. Not fire, not ash, true nothingness. The fabricated workshop collapsed instantly, the Nadachi reverting to a simple Zanpakuto. The raging flames burst outward one last time before fading completely, their wielder drained of strength. Did he win? A distant voice murmured as the battered clone staggered out of the smoke. Yeah, Brat's finished. With those final words, the clone dispersed, its memories flowing back to the original Naruto. Naruto stood amidst his army of shadow clones, who held back Sasori's puppets outside the village walls. He sealed away his sword, released his clones, and braced against the tidal wave of memories flooding back into his mind. The sudden headache passed quickly. Rolling his shoulders, he sheathed his weapon. I need to talk to Gaara. In a flicker of shunsen, Naruto appeared at the Kazekage Tower balcony, skipping the usual smoke theatrics. Oi, Gaara. We need to talk, now, he shouted as he pushed into the office, already planning his words. He knew one wrong phrase could leave him buried alive in an ocean of sand. Gaara didn't take village damage lightly, and repairs were going to cost a fortune. Why did it have to be the Zanpakuto again? Then again, they're all ridiculously destructive. Naruto, Gaara's furious voice thundered. Naruto paled. Damn it, Taka, couldn't you have waited before telling him? He dodged incoming sand spikes, leaping into the office. Sometimes I swear he's actually trying to kill me. Gaara, I'm sorry, please don't crush me. Apologies won't save you, Naruto. You're fixing the village walls you destroyed. Fine, just let me down first. Kankuro hesitated outside the office, then sighed and pushed the door open. The sight inside made him regret the decision instantly. Gaara had Naruto trapped inside a compressed ball of sand, lifting hundreds of pounds with sheer force. Taka leaned casually against the wall, staying far away. Please, Gaara, don't kill me, I have a wife, Naruto yelled desperately. You don't even have a girlfriend, idiot, Gaara snapped. I could start after this. Wait, how the hell do you know about my personal life? Kankuro sighed, asking Taka, how long has he been in there? About 12 minutes. Taka shrugged. He said 15 max. He sank his hand into a shadow and pulled out a blade of darkness, slicing open the sphere to free Naruto. Once Naruto promised to repair the defenses. So besides my brother trying to strangle you, Kankuro said dryly, what's your actual report? Naruto's tone hardened. The Akatsuki is far more dangerous than I imagined. One of my clones fought Sasori of the Red Sand. It took a full Bankai to defeat him, and I'm not even convinced he's truly gone. I've already got clones scouting the remains. If you allow it, I'd like access to his puppets and a sample of his poison. I'm certain the Akatsuki intends to distribute it to their forces. Gaara leaned forward, fingers steepled. Forces. I thought the Akatsuki were just 9 rogue shinobi. They've only recently put this into motion. Up until now, I've run into Taki and Aim shinobi. I had to relocate the Nanabi's Jinchuriki from her home village and move her somewhere else. One that still owes me favors from missions I completed years back, Naruto explained, and Gaara muttered a curse under his breath. But I don't expect she'll be safe there for too long. Akatsuki has a habit of sparking conflicts across borders, and I'm sure by now they've nearly wrapped up plans for something major right where I left her. And what about the bloodline wars in Kiri? Were they involved in that too? Gaara asked reluctantly, not wanting to hear the answer. Whether willingly or through manipulation, the Mizukage ended up under Akatsuki's thumb. They were secretly backing his regime. I stepped in a few times to support the rebels, and word is they finally toppled his forces close to 10 months back. I personally fought and defeated Yagura, the Mizukage and Sanbai's Jinchuriki, not long before I left. Helped them seal away his chakra too. That was about 1.5 years ago, back when I wasn't nearly as strong as I am now, Naruto admitted after a thoughtful pause, making Kankuro swear under his breath. My spy web is practically useless half the time. How is it that you, a single man, know things my entire network failed to uncover? Kankuro pressed, and Naruto simply gestured toward Taka. Ask him. He is my entire intelligence network, Naruto replied casually, making Kankuro let out a groan. That's not reassuring at all, Naruto. Honestly, it's kind of humiliating, Kankuro muttered, while Naruto smirked in amusement. That was the point, Naruto shot back, and Kankuro visibly sank into gloom. Back to the issue at hand, what has your operative Taka gathered? Gaara interjected, turning his focus on the masked figure who stepped forward. I've been following Akatsuki's operations and mapped out their structure. They function in pairs. One of the most effective duos is Itachi Uchiha and Kasame Hoshigaki. Unlike most pairs, their teamwork is seamless. They've been tasked with capturing the Kyuubi and have already made 3 attempts, all of which failed, Taka explained. Gaara muttered another curse and quickly jotted notes. What can you tell us about their fighting styles? Kankuro asked, and Taka answered after a moment of thought. Itachi Uchiha works as the tactical support. He balances his partner's brute strength with long and mid-range ninjutsu, ANBU-level close combat skills, and potent genjutsu. Kasame Hoshigaki, on the other hand, possesses one of the largest chakra reserves ever recorded, earning him the title Tailed Beast without a tail. He wields Samehada, a sword of the 7 swordsmen, and uses it devastatingly well. His water release techniques are extensive, and from my encounters, he also has tremendous strength, stamina, and taijutsu skill. Any intel on other pairs? I've heard of one notorious team, Gaara questioned, and Taka didn't hesitate. One pair consists of Kakuzu of Takagakure and Hidden of Yugakure. They're infamous as the zombie duo due to their bizarre abilities. Kakuzu uses a technique called Earth Grudge Fear, granting him up to 5 hearts. Reports confirm he currently possesses all 5 chakra natures, and possibly some Kekkei Genkai. He also manages Akatsuki's finances as their banker, doubling as a bounty hunter. Because of his partner, however, he rarely brings in captives alive, Taka explained before tossing a scroll to Kinkuro, who stashed it away. That scroll lists their current financial holdings, though it changes often, so the accuracy may vary, Taka added. What about Hidden? Kinkuro pressed. Hidden is a religious fanatic, a sadistic murderer devoted to a cult called Jashin. Through their rituals, he's gained true immortality. His technique doesn't require chakra, but instead depends on a sacrificial ceremony. He must consume his victim's blood, draw the Jashin symbol in blood, and step inside it. From there, any injury he inflicts on himself also strikes his target. Since he can't die, the curse leaves his enemies doomed. They sound horrifying, Gaara muttered, and Taka gave a small nod. They are. Kakuzu's arsenal rivals or surpasses the late Hiruzen Sarutobai's, multiplied several times over. He's a master of ninjutsu, formidable in taijutsu, and nearly on par with Kisame's raw power. Hidden wields a triple-bladed scythe, designed not for killing outright, but for drawing blood. He can manipulate it at any range thanks to skill and a cable connected to the weapon. He also carries a retractable spear for finishing strikes. Any more on Kakuzu? Kinkuro asked while scribbling notes. Very little. Getting this intel nearly cost me my life. Shadow clones and hired informants can only do so much. I had to step in personally, Taka admitted. Understandable. Seeing things firsthand is always more reliable than written reports. A mistake in interpretation can mean death not only for the commander but for everyone under them, Gaara agreed, with Naruto nodding as well. Besides those four, along with the two we defeated earlier, I've learned of Akatsuki's spy, Zetsu. He's part human, part plant, capable of traveling underground into restricted areas. Uzumaki-san created a sealing array to block him out. Other than that, the identities of the final two remain a mystery. I thought Akatsuki had 10 members, Gaara remarked. Naruto gave a nod. They did, but Orochimaru defected, stealing his ring on the way out. Strange. I'd think he'd fit right in with them, Kinkuro said, and Naruto smirked. Apparently, he tried to take Itachi's Sharingan shortly after joining. Itachi cut off one of his hands as payment for the attempt, Naruto revealed, drawing grim smiles from Gaara and Kinkuro. Serves him right, after everything he did to Suna, Kinkuro muttered bitterly. I hope he paid dearly. Knowing Orochimaru, he suffered for quite some time. He always risks everything for power, and this time it backfired, Taka replied, handing a scroll to Gaara. What is this? Gaara asked, his sand snatching the scroll midair. A linked scroll. With it, information can be shared instantly. I created these for the Jinchuriki to stay in contact, as well as for Kage and leaders targeted by Akatsuki, Naruto explained, showing his identical one. That brings me to another concern. I believe Sunagakure, and the Land of Wind overall, is in danger from Akatsuki for reasons beyond you being a Jinchuriki, Kazekage-sama, Taka stated, placing 3 more scrolls on Gaara's desk. Explain. With 2 of their agents defeated here, I assumed the threat would subside, but you're saying otherwise, Gaara pressed sternly. Yes, the Land of Wind is a prime staging ground for an assault on the Land of Fire and Konohagakure. Akatsuki intends to capture the Kyuubi sealed within Uzumaki-san and erase Konoha, which they see as an obstacle, Taka answered. Gaara exhaled heavily, rubbing his temples. It seems our generation is inheriting the sins of the last, Gaara muttered, and everyone silently agreed. Should we inform the council? Kinkuro asked. Gaara shook his head. The council is a nuisance. Inform only Baki, since he oversees the military in my stead. Temari also needs to know when she returns, especially regarding the Chunin exams. If necessary, we'll require freshly promoted Chunin trained to fight alongside veteran Jonin. She'll assist in restructuring the exams accordingly, Gaara decided, sighing afterward. And I'll finally rest once this meeting is over. My body still hasn't recovered from fighting Deidara. Speaking of Deidara, where is that lunatic? Naruto asked. Gaara laid his head down on the desk, pointing toward the floor. A report earlier mentioned him raving about art is an explosion. I ordered the guards to gag all of his mouths. If that doesn't work, I'll sedate him and send him to Konoha for interrogation, Gaara replied wearily. I'll handle the questioning, Naruto offered, but Gaara pointed at Kankuro. He runs that division. Kankuro stood, motioning Naruto to follow as he exited. Naruto waved at Taka to stay behind, then turned to him. Find out who Akatsuki's next target is. I've got reliable word that the Nibai's host is training with the Hachibai's Jinchuriki, under the Raikage's guard. That means those two are safe for now, but 4 other hosts are still exposed. Think you can discover who's next? Naruto asked. Taka chuckled softly and nodded. You insult me thinking I can't. Taka replied, his tone sharp before the dark shadows around the office began to slither toward him. Just give me a little time and I'll finish it. The shadows surged, swallowing him like a cocoon. In the next instant, Taka was gone without a trace. That's always creepy, Kankuro muttered. Leave. I want rest. Gaara ordered coldly, his hand flicking as streams of sand slid down, pulling the blinds shut and physically tossing both of them out of the office. Gaara can be a real pain sometimes. Naruto grumbled, helping Kankuro back onto his feet. Cut him some slack, Kankuro sighed. He hasn't slept for days, working non-stop. He's completely drained. The two made their way toward the holding cells, where the 8 assigned Jonin appeared miserable, some plugging their ears, others rhythmically smacking their heads against the wall. What's wrong with all of you? Naruto asked 2 shinobi who were hunched over a shogi board. He won't shut up. One Jonin groaned between repeated thumps of his head against the wall. He's been talking, singing, or making noise for over an hour straight. Didn't you gag him? Kankuro asked. And the cell is empty too. Another loud thud echoed inside. He still has clay. He keeps molding it into little balls and chucking them at the wall. Another exhausted Jonin said, pulling out her earplugs. She noticed Kankuro gearing up for a rant and quickly added, pointing at the cell. The bags are sealed onto him with binding tags. We couldn't remove them even if we wanted. And interrogation, where's that at? Kankuro questioned while Naruto walked toward the cell. We've gotten nowhere. Tried genjutsu, even beatings he won't break. We even had medical nin heal him afterward, so he wouldn't die from the injuries. A third Jonin explained, just as Naruto suddenly slammed Deidara against the reinforced glass. Violence won't make me talk, brat, Deidara sneered. Naruto drove his head harder into the glass with his foot. Collapse, Sakanade, Naruto whispered, drawing his Zanpakuto and spinning it. The weapon shifted, taking the form of a sleek katana with a crimson hilt, an hourglass-shaped guard, and a wide ring attached to the pommel. 5 circular holes lined the slender straight blade, its end sharpened into a slanted edge. Naruto twirled the weapon by the ring, releasing a pink mist that rapidly filled the cell. Feel it! Your reality breaking, reforming, only to shatter again, Naruto asked as Deidara stumbled clumsily, collapsing like he had forgotten how to walk. His arms stretched out the wrong way to stop his fall. I own your senses now, Deidara. Best start talking about Akatsuki. Go to hell, Deidara spat, only to shriek as sudden agony tore through him. That heat you feel. The sun itself burning you alive. Naruto's voice echoed from every corner. What are you doing to me? Deidara cried, curling into a ball. His words cut off with another scream as his entire body seized with icy pain. That's the wind, colder than death, freezing your veins solid. Naruto's voice teased as Deidara shook violently. Want me to turn it back up? Before Deidara could answer, flames engulfed him, and he screamed as he writhed across the floor. Please, I'll talk, I'll tell you everything, Deidara begged, staring in terror at Naruto's smirking face looming in his distorted sky. Just stop this. Oh, you'll tell me everything I ask, believe it, Naruto said coldly. Darkness swallowed Deidara whole, and his shrieks only grew louder as the void stretched endlessly. 3 days after the Akatsuki assault on Suna. So, Naruto, Tsunade began, watching him closely. What did you learn from interrogating Deidara of Iwa? Naruto slid a scroll into his pocket before meeting her gaze with his cat-like violet eyes. Not much, Naruto admitted. Only his partner's name, Sasori of the Red Sand, which we already knew. Nothing valuable came out of him. I had Taka place him in a coma. He might still be useful as a bargaining chip later. Tsunade raised a brow at that. He's hiding something. I'll need to ask Gaara what exactly Naruto swore not to reveal. She thought carefully. I'm ordering you to hand Deidara over to T and I Naruto. You're skilled, but I believe he knows more than he told you. Tsunade pressed. Naruto gave her a skeptical look but finally shrugged, raising his hand. From the shadows, Taka emerged. Tsunade instantly hurled kunai, but he raised his hand, stopping them in midair before strolling over to Naruto and slipping him a scroll. "The bodies are in here. Open it only in private," Taka whispered before moving past him. Tsunade's eyes narrowed. "Naruto, who is this?" "My operative, codename Taka," Naruto replied, rubbing his temple. "But enough about that. Didn't you summon me for a mission?" A flicker of embarrassment crossed her face. She had indeed gotten sidetracked. "Yes, I need Team Kakashi and Team Kurenai to intercept a weapons shipment from the arms dealer Bando. The Land of Spring requested our aid since it's crossing Fire Country, and their chakra armor was stolen by one of his unknown agents. We think that agent is traveling with the convoy. Proceed with caution. Also, an ANBU squad I sent ahead never reported back. You're to discover what happened to them as well." Naruto nodded. "Anything else, or can I leave?" Tsunade handed him a scroll. "Georgia wanted you to have this when you returned. Said you'd know what to do with it." Naruto grinned, tossing the scroll to Taka. "What's the count now?" 37. Taka answered, slipping it into a satchel that Tsunade only just noticed. When did he even get that? She thought irritably but let it go. "You depart in 3 hours, be at the gate on time," she ordered. "I have a request," Naruto said. "Can Taka come along? This job suits him. I'll need his details, appearance, affiliations." Tsunade insisted. Naruto nodded and Taka stepped forward. Naruto swiftly drew his blade. "Shatter Kyoka Suijutsu," he whispered. His Zanpakuto changed, now with a green hilt and a hexagonal guard, giving off a deceptive shimmer. No one noticed the release, and when Tsunade looked up, she saw a brown-haired, dark-eyed Taka standing before her. "I recognize him, a career mercenary never officially trained at any academy. Remarkable." Tsunade muttered, then waved him off. "He can join, but if he compromises the mission, you will deal with him." "Understood," Naruto replied. The masked shinobi vanished into the shadows. Naruto sheathed his sword and gave Tsunade a nod before disappearing in a shunshin. "So, Kakashi-sensei, what do you think of Naruto?" Sakura asked as they walked through Konoha. "He feels so different since returning from training with Jiraiya-sama." Kakashi closed his book, one of the few files on Bando. 5 years is a long time, Sakura. People change. Your proof of that grown immensely under Lady Tsunade's tutelage, becoming a skilled medical nin and pushing your taijutsu with Guy and Lee." He ran a hand through his hair, sighing. "But yes, Naruto's different. Stronger, much stronger. He wasn't even serious during our spar, yet he nearly killed me without effort. And I know he hasn't shown everything he has." Kakashi thought grimly. "But how much are we talking about?" A voice asked from behind, and both shinobi turned to find the striking purple, cat-like eyes of Naruto Uzumaki fixed on them. In the brief time since leaving the Hokage's office, he had swapped his usual outfit for black pants and a red long-sleeved shirt, though his sword remained with him, slung across his back instead of at his waist. "Naruto, did you hear about the mission?" Kakashi asked without hesitation, and Naruto gave a nod. "I was actually on my way to find you," Naruto replied with a grin. "I have some details about Bando I want to discuss with you both, considering we're a team." Sakura's smile widened as she listened. "He's not that different when he's out of combat," Sakura thought, nodding. "We can meet in a few minutes. I need to finish a few errands first." "Goodbye, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto," Sakura said, vanishing in a swirl of cherry blossom petals with a shunsen. That smile, Kakashi approached Naruto and offered a handshake, but Naruto pulled him into a hug instead. "Sorry about having to beat you up, Kakashi-sensei, but Team Kakashi was on the line. I didn't hold back," Naruto said, his grin broad. Kakashi waved it off. "No worries. I would have done the same if my team were at risk," Kakashi replied. "He's putting on a front." Suddenly, Naruto shoved Kakashi down and drew his Zanpakuto. "Scatter, Senbin Zakura!" he shouted as his blade fragmented into countless multiplying petals. The petals surged, skewering a pack of ink lions leaping from the rooftops toward the pair. "Just like mine," Kakashi thought. "Do you see him?" Naruto asked, even as Kakashi hurled shuriken to intercept a flock of explosive tag-carrying birds. "They're made of ink?" Kakashi questioned, scanning the rooftops before tossing kunai at a figure calmly perched above. A fresh wave of lions intercepted the kunai, and 3 tigers launched forward from the rooftops, the tigers quickly becoming surrounded by the attacking lions. "Turn all creation to ash, Ryujin Jaka," Naruto bellowed. Kakashi's quick roll was the only thing that saved him from being engulfed by flames. The inferno swept forward, consuming the ink lions and tigers, racing toward the rooftop figure, who vanished in a plume of smoke. "Who was that?" Naruto asked as the flames coalesced into his reforming sword. "I only saw a Konoha forehead protector, nothing else." "I'm not sure, but I suspect Hokage-san will know," Kakashi replied, and both leapt to the rooftops. In a nearby alley, a lone figure watched them depart. "Seems it worked just as you said it would," Taka murmured to no one until Naruto appeared beside him. "Of course it did, Taka. No one noticed a thing." "Kabuto's dead soul technique ended up being quite handy," Naruto said, watching a reanimated corpse trailing Kakashi, infused with a portion of his chakra. "It's useful, though too bad Kabuto wouldn't hand it over willingly." "Should I prepare more? Even enhanced, they won't last long in serious combat," Taka said, and Naruto nodded. Jiraiya's contribution turned out to be valuable. "He supplied plenty of bodies, 37, right?" Naruto asked. Taka confirmed with a nod. "The scroll also had extra tools and details about the technique. Remind me to thank you for sealing him. He thinks he acts freely, yet he follows my commands perfectly," Naruto commented. Taka offered a modest bow. "Ensuring the task challenged him enough was thanks enough." "Jiraiya fought bravely, but once you appeared, he was finished," Taka said. Naruto grinned at the memory. "It was an incredible battle. Gaining control over him makes it all more worthwhile," Naruto replied. Turning away, Taka gestured, and shadows opened before them like a doorway. "But there's still work to be done, so much left to prepare." "I'm here to help every step of the way, Naruto-san," Taka said. 3 hours after leaving the Hokage Tower, northern gate of Konoha. "Everyone ready?" Kakashi asked, adjusting his backpack. "Once we move, we don't stop until the convoy is intercepted." I checked my team. "They're prepared," Kurenai confirmed, a nod from her Chunin team. Taka went over everything. "Sakura and I are ready too," Naruto added. "We're not leaving yet, we're missing the replacement for our absent teammate," Kakashi said. A figure materialized in a swirl of smoke. "This will be annoying, but Hokage-sama ordered me along," Shikamaru said, waving half-heartedly. "Apparently, I'm supposed to analyze enemy techniques and tactics to prepare a counter-strategy. Interrupting my nap to study shinobi records wasn't fun." "Is he a genius?" Taka asked Naruto, who nodded. Shikamaru glanced briefly at Naruto, then focused on Taka. What happened to Naruto? Shikamaru thought. Even after years of training, he shouldn't seem so different. His posture is off, his expressions forced. "This isn't the same loudmouth I knew." "Who's he?" Shikamaru asked. "He's my agent. Picked him up during training," Naruto said. Shikamaru turned away, muttering. "His face moves unnaturally, speaking is an effort. He's trouble, always adding pieces to the puzzle," Shikamaru mused. Known for mentally cataloging everyone he knew, Shikamaru used these puzzles to devise battle strategies efficiently. The 8 Konohanin sprinted from the gates with Taka trailing Naruto. They moved full speed, forming battle positions, Jonin in front, Chunin on either flank, and Recon Chunin between them. Kakashi led, with Naruto to his left, Sakura to his right, and Shikamaru using sensory skills. Kurenai led her team with Kiba and Hinata on either side, while Shino deployed chakra-infused insects to form a sensory web. "What do you expect we'll face?" Kakashi asked Kurenai after a period of silence. "High Jonin-level opponents. I'll layer the battlefield with advanced genjutsu. Chunin won't engage, and if Bando appears, we may have to retreat for Hokage-sama's reinforcements. His chakra armor is unmatched," Kurenai explained. "I've heard of Bando from my ANBU captain. He was sent to recover a weapon Bando stole but didn't survive. Bando crushed him. I don't like my chances, but I'll try," Kakashi said, clenching his fists. "And your team?" Kurenai asked. Before Kakashi could respond, Naruto shouted at Taka. "Taka, go ahead and disrupt the convoy," Naruto ordered. "Understood, Naruto-sama. They won't get far," Taka replied, summoning dozens of clones in smoke clouds before vanishing into the forest. "What was that?" Shikamaru asked, as everyone turned to Naruto. "That's why I only brought Taka. He can handle it, Naruto said, charging forward with the Konoha shinobi. Taka appeared before Bando's convoy, causing it to halt abruptly, the ground beneath it seemingly melting under his presence as he gestured with a wave of his hand. You will not proceed any further. Staying put is in your own best interest, Taka declared. Who do you think you are? A shinobi under Bando snapped, only to be engulfed in flames moments later. My identity matters little to those who are about to die, Taka replied calmly, stepping forward with barely a trace as fire coiled around one fist and lightning shimmered around the other. Naruto, when we reach the convoy, I want you and Kiba on the front lines while Hinata, Shikamaru, and Shino protect Kurenai and Sakura. Hinata, cover for anyone injured while Shino evacuates them, and after Kurenai finishes her genjutsu, both you and Shino will support her. Shikamaru will stay with Sakura, ensuring she can treat the injured safely without enemy interference, Kakashi instructed as they approached. Follow any commands from me or Kurenai without hesitation. His words were cut short as they arrived at the convoy. It hovered just above the treetops, while Taka held two of Bando's shinobi by their collars. The remaining soldiers were either reduced to gore on the ground or scattered as bloody smears, limbs and entrails littering the path, ashes drifting in the wind. You two carry yourselves with an authority that marks either experience or leadership. Your posture gave you away while among the others. Either you are veterans privy to Bando's secrets, or you command this unit, Taka said evenly, as if the carnage around him meant nothing. You may speak and walk away unharmed, or remain silent and face suffering beyond anything you've known. Choose. The shinobi in Taka's left hand spoke first. What do you want? Bando gave me all the shipment details for his weapons. Good, Taka nodded. Then he looked at the other in his right hand. And you, will you talk? Rot in hell, traitor, the other spat, defiance blazing in his eyes. Chitaka's shadow stretched unnaturally, and from it, 4 clones emerged. Without a word, each clone dragged one of the captives into the darkness, their screams fading quickly. This keeps getting more complicated, Shikamaru muttered, exhaling. Taka just tore through 15 mid-Jonin guards. Bando will send more once he hears, or he may handle it himself. Search the wreckage and secure anything useful. Seal what you can to study back at the village, Kakashi ordered, moving with Kurenai to assess the situation. Taka had vanished by the time the team regrouped, reappearing near the real Naruto, standing over his double. Taka, can I ask something? Naruto spoke quietly. Certainly, Naruto-san, what is it? Taka replied. Naruto sighed, staring at the fallen figure below. Seeing that corpse, looking like me, moving like I once did, it fills me with anger and disappointment in myself, Naruto admitted. How so? I'm furious because, look at him, Naruto whispered sharply, keeping his voice low under Kyoka Suijutsu's illusion. He had no idea what being a shinobi truly meant. He didn't understand what he was asking for when he screamed he wanted to be Hokage. Children rarely grasp the full weight of the world. Innocence is something often wished to last a little longer before reality strikes, Taka said calmly. You were a child then, but now you know what was once forbidden. Why the frustration now? Naruto remained silent for a long moment before speaking, his tone heavy with nostalgia. I miss it seeing good in everyone, allies and enemies alike. Believing everyone could be saved. Now, knowing the darkness in people, their bitterness, greed, and malice, it drags you down too. I miss being that naive, hopeful kid, and I'm frustrated for losing it without realizing it. In the shinobi world, people evolve, molded by their experiences. Few ever return to the simplicity of civilian life, Taka said solemnly. Change is inevitable given all you've endured. Thanks, Taka. It is my duty to assist you, Naruto-san. Still, thank you. Kakashi broke the moment. We have intel on 5 more convoys. We'll split into 2-man teams. I'll handle the 5th alone. Naruto grinned and stepped forward. I can take that one, Kakashi-sensei. I've been itching to try some new jutsu Ero-sensei taught me, Naruto said, and Kakashi nodded, trusting him. All right, I'll go with Shikamaru, Sakura and Shino together, Kurenai and Kiba, and Hinata with... Kakashi trailed off. Naruto merely formed a hand sign and grinned. Shadow clone jutsu, he declared. As the clone appeared, Taka applied a tag to its forehead, glowing faintly blue before embedding itself. What is that? Kakashi asked, instinctively reaching for a kunai. Kurenai was already preparing a fire jutsu, waiting for Taka's next move. It's a durability and chakra recycling seal I devised with Ero-sensei, Naruto explained hurriedly. It makes clones tougher without draining too much chakra. He laughed. Why is everyone so tense lately? Did you all miss my amazingness that much? Taka is unpredictable. That's why we're cautious, Kurenai replied. Kakashi approached. Thanks for the clone, but what will Taka do? Kakashi asked, looking for him, but the masked shinobi was gone. He's stalling the convoys, blocking their routes, Naruto said, waving. See you? He vanished with a swift shunsen, a swirl of leaves creating a temporary blind around the Konoha shinobi. Naruto's still rough with control. He overloaded that shunsen, Shikamaru noted before disappearing in smoke with Kakashi. From the treetops, Naruto observed the smoke vanish. Taka, how long until the convoys are trapped? A few hours. I created circular walls reinforced with chakra, full of traps, Taka replied. Good. I'll handle my assigned convoy. You move on to yours, Naruto said. I'll infiltrate Aim Kagure and report back, Taka said, but Naruto stopped him with a hand on his shoulder. Time it carefully. The rain will mask your movement. The Akatsuki will meet during your infiltration. Report back if you succeed. I'll return within a week, Taka confirmed, stepping into shadows as if melting into them. Good luck, Naruto said. No need, Taka's voice echoed, and the shadows returned to normal. Time to get to work, Naruto muttered, vanishing in another shunsen. Need to intercept the corpse before it reaches the convoy. Meanwhile, Shikamaru and Kakashi, Hadake-san noticed anything different about Naruto since his return? Shikamaru asked. He's changed, understandably. 5 years away would do that, Kakashi replied, unaware of the narrowing eyes behind him. Not trying to insult you, but you're sometimes oblivious, Shikamaru muttered before passing Kakashi. Am I really the only one who knows Naruto isn't himself? Sakura and Shino. Haruno-san, have you noticed Naruto's changed since his training with Jiraiya? Shino asked. As a medic, I notice subtle things. His demeanor is completely different, like he's not the same person, Sakura replied, nodding slowly as Shino remained silent, processing. After Naruto left, I sent several of my Kikaichu to the Valley of the End to absorb the leftover chakra, both from Naruto and Sasuke. When he returned, the Kikaichu barely recognized him. Normally, a hive never forgets any chakra imprint, since at least a few insects always retain memory, but Naruto's signature was almost completely erased, and I still can't explain why. Shino confessed to Sakura after a moment of deep reflection. You're right, his chakra has shifted significantly. He really is different now. I'm curious how that happened, Sakura replied. I've studied the chakra pathway system extensively, and only a few texts mention a way for a chakra signature to chain, and those describe kinjutsu corruption or a profound personal transformation. I'll have to ask Jiraiya-sama when he comes back. She glanced at him. You can come with me if you like. Shino shook his head. I'm afraid not. When we return to the village, my father has tasked me with overseeing the hive. Sakura raised an eyebrow at that. But you already have a hive. Why would your father assign another? She asked. Shino's response was measured. I am to watch over the main hive. One of the responsibilities of the clan head and the clan council is maintaining the hive's strength. This is partly why we work with the torture and interrogation unit. They provide blocked chakra that sustains the hive. I'll begin training with techniques connected to the main hive, now that I've completed the endurance and reserve preparation necessary for them. Shino explained, leaving Haruno visibly stunned. Will you need a medical nin with you? Sakura asked after a pause. Yes, Shino admitted. The Kikaichu will drain nearly all of my chakra during training. I'll help if you let me study the hive or even just a sample, Sakura offered. Your clan's insects have always fascinated me since I started training as a medical nin. Shino raised a subtle eyebrow. How's that? He asked. Most people are terrified of our insects. Then they're idiots, Sakura replied. If the hospital could temporarily transplant specially bred Kikaichu into patients, we could develop antidotes to some of the deadliest poisons Konoha nin face. Plus, a single medical nin could send healing chakra through the Kikaichu to heal dozens of people quickly, without risking the battlefield. Shino nodded thoughtfully. These are solid ideas. Perhaps they'll become real once I'm clan head. he considered as they rushed toward the convoy. Kurenai and Kiba, Kurenai-sensei, do you know who that Taka guy working with Naruto is? Kiba asked, riding on the now horse-sized Akamaru. Konoha has no authority over him, and there are no official records. He was never properly trained as a shinobi, Kurenai replied after a short pause. No one knows anything about Taka except Naruto, and he isn't sharing. It makes sense, Kiba said after a moment, calmer now from years of rigorous training under his mother and sister after Naruto left. Naruto needs a hidden advantage with the Akatsuki after him, and no one knowing their full reach in the shinobi world works in his favor. We understand that, but this is Naruto. I didn't even think he knew about the Akatsuki, Kurenai replied, frowning. Kiba's face darkened. That's wrong, Kurenai-sensei, he said, the tension thick. They want my friend dead, and I refuse to let the village keep that from him. Naruto wouldn't know what to do with the info. He'd just shout and say he'd stop them, Kurenai explained. Kiba's reaction was an audible growl. So we're letting him go in blind like a lamb to the slaughter, Kiba demanded, stopping Akamaru. Who even thinks that's acceptable? Kiba, it's safer this way. He'd even have an ANBU detail protecting him, Kurenai pressed. Kiba laughed at her suggestion. Naruto doesn't abandon people for his safety. He jokes, sure, but he fights to protect those around him, Kiba asserted. I don't get why people assume he can't handle information you'd trust a genin with. Naruto knows when things are serious. He's not careless around danger like the Akatsuki. Let's go, Akamaru, Kiba commanded. With a bark, they vanished into the trees, leaving Kurenai behind, sighing. I may have really messed up, she thought, quickening her pace. She was still a jonin and could manage his attitude later. Right now, their focus was stopping the convoy. Hinata and Naruto clone, so, Uzumaki-san, what was your training like? Hinata asked carefully, her confidence bolstered by the support of Kurenai, Kiba, and Shino. Did you enjoy it? It was incredible but brutal, Naruto answered, raising a fist to his face before balling it. Jiraiya-sensei practically tried to kill me with some of it, but it was worth every moment. I'm stronger than ever and ready to stop the Akatsuki. They won't touch any of the Jinchuriki while I'm around. He's always so determined. That's why I had a crush on him, Hinata thought. But now, I don't feel the same as 5 years ago. Unknown to many in the village, including the Konoha 11, Hinata's feelings for Naruto had matured. He was no longer a crush. He was a trusted friend, a source of inspiration in a harsh shinobi world. That's great, Hinata said. I've been training too. Everyone's grown stronger since you left. We all want to help against the Akatsuki. Awesome, Naruto beamed. The Akatsuki doesn't stand a chance against the will of fire. They won't take down Konoha or us. Yeah, they won't, Hinata agreed as they sprinted toward the convoy. Shikamaru and Kakashi, we've reached the convoy, Kakashi whispered, crouched in the trees along the route. Any strategy? I have a few dozen, Shikamaru said, unrolling a scroll. Give me a few minutes and we won't need to lift a finger. Go ahead, Kakashi said. Call for backup if needed. No need, Shikamaru replied confidently. Moments later, do you even know what we're carrying? A Jonin-ranked missing nin asked in front. Armor or something, another shrugged. All I care about is getting paid. With 20 Chunin in the trees and 10 Jonin on this path, this is an easy gig. That money's practically mine already. You're too loud, a voice snapped. A figure landed before the convoy. Oh crap, that's, one Jonin stammered. Kakashi Headache at your service, Kakashi said, forming hand signs. Now, Shikamaru thought, seeing the Chunin panic but still move. He formed a single hand sign. First, the scrolls. Kunai attached to explosive tags shot from hidden scrolls, collapsing surrounding trees to form a crude cage around the convoy. Next, the tags, Shikamaru continued. Gunpowder clouds erupted from the trees, filling the forest. Finally, the explosives. The shadow clone Kakashi created was obliterated, along with most of the forest. Fallen trees prevented a larger fire. Nice work, Shikamaru. But what about the chakra armor? Kakashi asked. Shikamaru pointed to a glowing seal beneath the convoy. Bando has Fuinjutsu experts with his convoys. I just scaled the explosion to the durability reported, Shikamaru explained. Most of it was smoke laced with gunpowder. Smart. Let's see what's inside, Kakashi said, but paused at the seal. I'll need time to crack this, he said, producing a scroll. Chakra surged through a rod, the tip sharpening as he prepared to unlock it. Fine, I might as well grab a nap, Shikamaru muttered, settling at the foot of a tree, his fingers weaving into a circular formation. At least now I can think about Naruto for a bit. He's definitely different, but by how much? The others might notice it too, but they'll probably chalk it up to his 5 years of training. That's not the whole truth. I've gone through Jiraiya's reports over the past 5 years. They were monthly, so I have a solid understanding of everything up until 2 years into it. After that, everything seems off, at least to me. A curse from Kakashi caught Shikamaru's attention as the masked Jonin glanced his way. We might be here longer than expected, Kakashi called out, and Shikamaru exhaled, returning to his thoughts. Naruto is nothing like he was before. Training alone doesn't create this kind of change. His fight with Kakashi-sensei proved it. To anyone else, it looked like reckless showboating, but it was calculated. That Zanpakuto-like power has basically made him godlike. The old Naruto would have been challenging everyone head-on, going overboard. But this Naruto, he fights through his shadow clones, rarely stepping onto the battlefield himself. What we're seeing isn't the real Naruto, just a puppet. Even Kiba and Shino were fooled, and with his scent and chakra imprint, I can't afford to underestimate him. Another curse from Kakashi erupted as he pulled a scroll and, with a burst of smoke, revealed 2 rods, moving them around the seal in a blur. Why does he keep interrupting me? Focus. Naruto is clearly plotting something major. He's preparing something he doesn't want anyone to see, which explains Taka. Shikamaru exhaled heavily. Taka, I think I know who he is, but I won't be certain until that mask comes off. It's layered with seals altering his chakra signature, no doubt about that. Training aside, someone this powerful would have been discovered long before Naruto. Who could wield such power? He's about Naruto's age, maybe slightly older or younger, and his anticipation of Naruto's moves implies history between them. Annoying as it is, I'll circle back later. Right now, I need a strategy for when that Bando guy shows up to punish us for interfering with his shipments. He's probably near cage level, maybe even higher. Managing hundreds of Jonin and thousands of Chunin shows he's going to be tough to face, even with traps laid across the battlefield. But his durability rivals the third Raikage. He's smart, he'll weaken us with his forces before personally finishing the job. Man, this is going to be a headache. Shikamaru sighed. Why me? Why not Choji or Lee? Resigned, he decided to nap, leaving the other problems for later. Aimgakure, shadows along a building warped as a lone figure emerged. No rain, good, Taka thought, layering multiple genjutsu on himself, hiding from all except elite shinobi like Itachi Uchiha. Choosing not to use chakra for movement, he relied on 3 grueling years of intense physical training, moving swiftly across rooftops, scaling a building to scout the industrial village. Where should I start? No informants here are loyal to anyone but their leader, but there must be a way to gather intel. He spotted a shop resembling a tourist store. Hopefully, I can get some leads before the rain returns. That'll work, Taka muttered, descending the roof. A few genjutsu masked him as a visiting tourist. Can I help you? An elderly shopkeeper asked. Yes, could you tell me about local sites? Taka replied, and the man handed over a map. There's a path that guides visitors to see everything Aimgakure offers. But Pain-sama's notice, I haven't seen you there before. How long have you been around? Taka cursed silently. In the blink of an eye, he subdued the old man, seating him in a chair and tapping his forehead, implanting false memories while erasing the real ones. Now you'll believe you just dozed off, nothing more. Dropping the genjutsu, he noticed 3 shinobi on the nearby rooftops. He deployed drugged senbon, hitting each of them. Catching 2 who were falling, he kicked the third onto the rooftop. These 2 are Chunin, he noted. The one in the middle, Jonin in charge. Scanning the area briefly, he found nothing more and cursed quietly. Binding the 3 in wires, he dashed to the next rooftop. Moving without chakra but at peak speed, he pursued the 2 other Chunin advancing too slowly to evade him. He slammed them to the ground, injecting drugged senbon. Then water clones erupted from the rooftops, Mizubunshin, of course. Taka prepared a hand sign as alarms sounded. Seriously, he shouted. 4 Chunin from a guard post surged toward him. With precision, he eliminated them with kunai and concealed the bodies in a dumpster. Racing through the streets, he invoked lightning techniques to clear the rooftops of pursuing shinobi. Could have been less flashy, but it'll do. Shunsen teleportation brought him beside a chunin, snapping their neck instantly, the body landing to simulate an accidental fall. More Shunsen movements and chakra-augmented kunai eliminated additional opponents. Only 3 chunin down, where's the Jonin? Water jutsu assaulted him, Sutin, gunshot, Sutin, grand water prison. But he countered with Raiten, emotion wave and Raiten. Dragon's roar, electrifying the water and blasting away his attackers, collapsing onto the rooftop. All right, that infiltration failed, Taka muttered, observing the twitching shinobi around him, incapacitated. Rain returned suddenly, and panic set in as he scrambled. No, 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 he shouted, racing across rooftops, scanning the village walls to see Aimgakure's Jonin ready to strike anyone entering the open space between walls and village. This area is a trap. If I step forward, I'll be riddled with kunai and shuriken. But if I stay here... Before he could finish his thought, a sharp pain shot through him as he was violently slammed against a wall. Is this the one? A voice asked. The intruder that breached the village. Yes, Pain-sama, one of the guard posts detected him, a Jonin replied. The orange-haired man waved dismissively, sending the Jonin away. I'll take care of this, Pain said, leaping from the rooftop while forming a single hand sign. Sutin, water gun, Pain called, firing pressurized water bullets into the ground intentionally, creating violent shockwaves that slammed Taka against the wall. The impact shook him, but he quickly regained his composure, channeling chakra to scale the wall and push off it as he formed multiple hand signs in his mouth. Katten, dragon's breath, Taka shouted, unleashing a torrent of fire that instantly turned the water into mist. This mist won't protect you, Pain said, stepping calmly into the swirling cloud. I will defeat you here, intruder. My name is Taka, the masked shinobi corrected. Pain turned, palm raised. Shinra Tensei, Pain unleashed, blowing away the mist, but hit nothing. Taka appeared behind him, 2 kunai in hand, only for a black rod to shoot from Pain's sleeve and block the attack. Swearing under his breath, Taka leapt back, throwing several shuriken, which Pain deflected with the rod and then hurled forward. Taka caught it with one hand, throwing more shuriken with the other. Pain sidestepped the projectiles, then sent a surge of chakra into the rod in Taka's hands. The rod elongated, aiming to impale him, but Taka flung it aside just in time. Pain pulled it back using a chakra thread, spinning it in one hand. Will you surrender? Pain asked. Taka charged forward, kunai glowing with chakra. Pain blocked them with his rod. Taka grinned, releasing explosive tags from his sleeves onto the weapons, embedding them in the rod. Pain tossed it away before the explosion and lunged at Taka, who blocked the attack and countered with a kick to sidestep a stomach strike. Pain didn't pursue immediately. Another black rod appeared in his hand, flung at Taka, who dodged, though the attached explosive tags caught his coat. Damn! Taka cursed, leaping away as the blast created a huge crater. Pain was already on him, kunai in hand, aiming for lethal strikes to the neck and heart. Taka deflected the stomach strike and bent back to evade the neck strike. Pain followed with a solid kick to Taka's chest, sending him flying. Taka flipped, landing crouched against a nearby wall. Is that all? Taka taunted. Pain's expression remained bored. I could ask the same, but I see you're giving this your all, Pain replied. Moments later, Taka manipulated wires with a grin. Good observation, he said as giant shuriken tore from nearby walls, aiming to impale Pain. But Pain moved faster than Taka could perceive, and the shuriken shattered midair as a sharpened black rod shot toward Taka. He intercepted it with shuriken, knocking it to the ground. Pain sighed. It's time to end this futile fight, Pain said. Try if you dare, Taka answered, only to be kicked into a wall as Pain landed where he had stood. Dotten. Stone-tearing dragon. Pain slammed a palm onto the ground, and a stone dragon erupted beneath him. Katten, pottery flames. He pressed his hand to the dragon's head, igniting fire along its body. It's hollow. Why? Taka thought, forming hand signs for a counterattack. Dotten, mudslide. The dragon's body filled with flaming mud. Dotten, swamp of the underworld. Taka found himself sinking into the mud. A combination. I walked right into it, he thought as mud engulfed his arms. Die, intruder, Pain commanded. The dragon rained flaming mud bullets down on Taka. "No choice, raw chakra it is," Taka shouted, blasting the mud away with a blue vortex and leaping to solid ground. "Shinra Tensei," Pain whispered. Taka's eyes widened as the repulsion sphere expanded, hurling him into the village's metal walls and then tearing him out. "So, an agent of Uzumaki, are you?" Pain asked, holding Taka's limp body. "Few survive to challenge my power." "You shouldn't underestimate me. I might surprise you," Taka gasped. "No, you won't." Pain placed a hand on Taka's chest, forming a black sphere. "Shinra Tensei," Taka crashed to the ground, water pooling around him. "He shattered most of my bones. How does he hold such power?" Taka wondered as darkness took him. Maybe he really is a god, he thought. Naruto approached his assigned convoy after sealing the corpse that had impersonated him. Something felt off. "Probably nothing," he shrugged, landing in front of the trapped group and drawing his Zanpakuto. "Bow your head, Wabasuk," he whispered. The sword glowed and reshaped, its curve straightened, adding 2 right-angle bends, forming 3 sides of a square with the cutting edge inside. 3 shinobi guarding the wagon attacked, but Naruto ducked beneath their strikes, appearing behind the middle Chunin to strike repeatedly with Wabasuk before leaping onto the wagon. "Ryu, what's wrong?" one Chunin shouted, crouching near a bleeding comrade. Naruto descended on 2 more behind the wagon, striking them multiple times, the impact leaving craters. "Ken, what happened?" Another Chunin called from a tree branch, only to vanish moments later, his head severed by Wabasuk's reversed edge. Naruto deflected kunai and shuriken with a swipe of his sword, appearing behind attackers to tap them 5 times on the back. The tree branch cracked under their weight. "How is he doing this?" a Chunin gasped. "Wabasuk doubles the weight of anything it strikes," Naruto explained calmly. "Your friend weighed 150 pounds. 5 strikes made him almost 4,800 pounds. That's why the branch and his organs failed. Normally, 3 hits are enough, but I don't have time for mercy." Shuriken, kunai, and minor elemental jutsu were dodged effortlessly. 3 Chunin leapt at him. Naruto spun midair, striking all 5 times, sending them crashing with bones cracking. He ducked under another sword strike, countering multiple opponents and crushing them to the ground with Wabasuk's weight. Remaining Chunin gaped in shock as he silently removed 2 heads, stepping back after the lethal blows. "And don't think this sword has lost its edge. It's far sharper than most blades you've ever faced," Naruto remarked to the few Chunin still standing. "If any of you hope to stop me, you better come prepared to kill." The 6 surviving Chunin sprang from their cover, launching a relentless assault of shuriken and kunai, while elemental attacks, wind, fire, water, and lightning, poured down alongside them. Naruto let out a calm sigh and disappeared from view, leaving the Chunin in panic. "Where is he? Where did he go? What even is this guy?" "Fools," Naruto thought, appearing silently behind them. Moments later, the Chunin's heads were severed as Naruto approached the pinned warriors. "Please, don't kill me. I have information on Bando. I can give you names. Anything you want, just don't kill me," one Chunin shouted, desperation in their voice. Naruto's eyes remained cold and unfeeling as he vanished again, reappearing behind the Chunin. "You wield a sword, so you understand the nature of battle, right?" he asked. The Chunin trembled violently as Wabasuk's blade encircled their neck. "You know the risk each time you lift that sword, yet you do it anyway." "Why, yes, I know, I regret my actions, the lives I've taken, but I had no choice. It was obey or die, and I never let others." Blood began to flow as Wabasuk cut deeper, and Naruto pulled the blade back. "So you understand that pleading for mercy is useless, correct?" Naruto said, watching as the Chunin choked on their own blood. "Atonement doesn't save you from someone who comprehends war yet faces it willingly, even when tragedy strikes." With a brutal pull, the blade tore through the Chunin's neck, and Naruto vanished in a swirl of smoke. "What the hell's happening up there? Why did we stop?" a Chunin at the back shouted. Meanwhile, the Jonin atop the wagon sighed as the first few wagons of the convoy crashed with heavy thuds. "Naruto Uzumaki, of course Konoha would send him to the convoy I'm guarding," the Jonin thought, drawing the hook swords on his back. With a flick of his wrist, the spearhead extended, chakra flowing along the blade. "And he decides to use a sword I know inside out, great. This is going to be boring." He leapt from the wagon, landing before Naruto, his blades forming an X to block an overhead swing meant to stop the wagon. "Jet," Naruto said, nodding. "Naruto," Jet replied, unfazed by Wabasuke's effect. "Still relying on that sword in personal combat. It symbolizes how I see battle, atonement before death," Naruto answered, kicking Jet away. Jet pivoted using one spearhead planted in the ground, spinning to bring the hooked blade down for a killing strike. Naruto deflected the blow with Wabasuke and leapt onto a wagon. "I never could land you, Jet," he said with a grin. "Guess I need another sword." He leapt again, transforming Wabasuke back into a standard katana. "Awaken, Benayam," he whispered, racing forward. The sword morphed into a sleek medium blade, black with smooth wrapping, a bent hilt, triple overlapping pommel, and crimson tassel. A U-shaped guard rose 3 inches with a floral design, wrapped red string, and decorative bow. The slim, straight blade ended in a razor-like slanted tip, its edge silver. "So what's that?" Jet asked, flicking his wrist to extend the hooks. "I've got no intel on that form. What does it do?" "Many things, countless things," Naruto replied, eyes drifting to the sky. "Of course," Jet muttered. "Vague answers, secret techniques. I bet only you and that Taka agent have seen it in action." "Correct," Naruto swung forward. "Shibari, Benayam." A crimson net shot from the hilt, wrapping around Jet, who easily cut through it and linked the hook swords like nunchaku. Chakra blades radiated with every spin. "Chikasumi no Tate," Naruto called, a crimson shield materializing to absorb Jet's attack. Jet reappeared behind him, aiming a slash across Naruto's shoulder blades with surgical precision. "Kemisari Benayam," Naruto slashed forward, releasing a crimson energy wave that struck Jet, sending him flying. He landed in a tree, grinning. "Kirasaki Benayam," Naruto slashed upward, conjuring a crimson shield and launching energy bullets at Jet. The mercenary weaved through trees as Naruto followed, the energy barrage tearing through the environment. Jet vanished ahead, appearing above Naruto with spearheads glowing with chakra. "Tsupain Benayam," Naruto whispered, halting Jet's descent in a flash of red light. Jet chuckled, leaping into the trees. "Finally, you're trying to kill me," Jet's voice echoed. Naruto sensed the lethal intent radiating off him. "Of course," Naruto replied, a murderous grin forming. "I want to kill you." He slammed Benayam into the ground. "Bankai." Flames erupted as Naruto tore off his top, revealing his next form. "Reikagon Kaku," he roared, planting the transformed Zanpakuto into the earth. The enormous sword had a hooked crimson blade, jagged inner edges, and a massive hilt shield. It towered over Naruto. "I know this one," Jet said, landing with chakra-charged hook swords. Naruto smiled, enveloped in flames emerging from the sword. "Let's see what you've got, Jet." Jet attacked, but Naruto moved the massive blade aside, releasing fire from the hollow pauldron. Jet deflected, striking from 2 angles aimed to sever shoulders and neck. "Is that all?" Naruto asked, grinning, deflecting a crescent-shaped chakra slash, retaliating with fire. Jet vanished to avoid it. Appearing behind him, Jet aimed another strike. Naruto raised the pauldron, flames gathering. "Crap, think fast," Jet thought, linking his hooks and maneuvering to avoid the fire, countering with chakra crescents. Naruto shielded behind his weapon. Jet descended from above. Naruto grabbed the pauldron's handle, blocking the strike. He pushed, tossing Jet into the air. Jet tucked into a ball, landing in a tree. Naruto yanked Reika Gonkaku from the ground, aiming the hook end, firing blast after blast of fire. Jet smirked as he sliced through them all with a barrage of razor-sharp chakra crescents, landing in front of Naruto while swinging his blades upward, aiming to split him cleanly down the middle. A sudden eruption of flames forced Jet to leap into the air to avoid being incinerated. Mid-jump, he grinned, releasing a surge of chakra along the edges of his blades. The energy surged across his swords as he descended, while Naruto fired waves of fire repeatedly, each one narrowly missing as Jet either deflected them with his chakra-charged weapons or obliterated them with a single precise slash. "This isn't working," Naruto muttered, cursing as he rolled to the side to dodge Jet crashing into the ground. "I've got the power, but I can't match his speed." Jet swung both swords, sending out waves of chakra crescents. Naruto plunged the hooked end of his Zanpakuto into the earth, crouching behind it to withstand the onslaught, before channeling chakra into the weapon. "Raiden!" Naruto shouted, launching a massive fireball from the pauldron at the tip of the blade. It shattered in midair into a dozen smaller bursts that rained down toward Jet, who dodged, only to notice them tracking him relentlessly. A synchronized slash of Jet's swords unleashed a colossal chakra wave, scattering the fireballs. Naruto then appeared behind him, the pauldron blazing, swinging down toward Jet. "Crap," he thought. "Rayandon, let's go again," Naruto roared, firing a single colossal fireball that struck Jet with brutal force. But he didn't stop there, unleashing multiple fireballs from every angle, spinning the blade above his head as flames consumed both it and him. He slammed the hook into the ground, cracking the earth outward. "Gon Ryuga," he shouted, and the clearing erupted with flaming spears moments later. Jet leapt, slicing through the fire with his chakra-infused swords, evading the deadly projectiles. Naruto smirked, repositioning the pauldron toward the airborne Jet. "Gon Ryuga," he called again, firing hundreds of spears from the hollow portion aimed to pierce Jet. Jet smirked, forming a familiar hand sign. "Kage Bunshin." 3 shadow clones appeared before him, each swinging chakra-empowered swords multiple times before vanishing. The converging waves of chakra formed a solid barrier, colliding with the flaming spears. The energy would have smashed into Naruto had he not leapt away, only to find Jet behind him. Jet scissored his swords, attempting to cleave Naruto's spine, but the Uzumaki launched himself upward with a fire blast, spinning his massive weapon above him. Flames rained down, but Jet had already vanished, perched atop a tree. Landing cautiously, Naruto dodged a barrage of mid-air exploding kunai. Jet appeared beside him, pressing both swords together, aiming to slice Naruto in two. Naruto launched a flame blast sideways, rolling and embedding Reika Gonkaku into the ground. He fired multiple fireballs at Jet, who split them with his hook swords, releasing a crescent of chakra that cleaved through the flames. Cursing, Naruto charged, flames roaring from Reika Gonkaku. They collided midair before crashing to the ground, Jet landing on a tree. Naruto drove the hook of his Zanpakuto into the earth to pull himself upright, breathing heavily, small cuts across his body slowing his recovery. "I'm out of practice. I haven't had a real fight in a while if Jet can handle me like this," he thought. And this massive blade doesn't help against a speed fighter. Memories of their past encounters came flooding back. Jet striking from blind spots, extending his blade with chakra, the near losses, the narrow escapes, the one time he went berserk breaking free from Senbon's Akira. All in all, a total pain to fight. Naruto surged with chakra, drawing his weapon again. Kickabout, Los Lobos. A pillar of chakra enveloped him, fading to reveal his Los Lobos form. "I see a new weapon again, and I don't recognize this one." "Impressive," Jet said, landing before Naruto. "You're like a walking armory." "You could say that," Naruto replied lazily, one blue eye fixed on Jet. "I'm not fond of this form, but it's strong." "We'll see about that," Jet said, charging. Naruto leapt, firing chakra bullets from his dual guns. Jet dodged, launching from a tree behind him, deflecting the shots with a chakra-charged sword. "Crap," Naruto muttered as Jet swung upward, slamming a massive chakra crescent into him, launching him into the ground with an explosive dome-shaped blast that leveled the area. Kicking upright, Naruto avoided the spear tips of Jet's swords and whispered, "Zero!" A blue beam shot forth, throwing Jet into the trees. Naruto leapt high, aiming both guns down. "Zero Metroletta!" he shouted, raining multiple blasts. Jet deflected them with difficulty. Naruto fired an even stronger Zero, propelling Jet toward a treetop. Jet split the attack with his chakra swords, forming a massive cleaver-like blade, tossing the energy aside effortlessly. "This guy's a master swordsman. He just deflected my Zero Metroletta. I wish he could teach me," Naruto thought, holstering his guns. "Think you can keep going?" Jet asked from a treetop, grinning. "Colmillo," Naruto whispered, 2 blue energy blades forming in his hands from his bandoliers. "You ready to keep up, old man?" he teased. Jet only smiled. "Let's see," he replied. Both charged forward, grinning. Aimgakure inside Pain's tower, a scream of sheer agony echoed. Most would have fled, but not the 5 cloaked figures outside. They remained unfazed. "You have information you may not share easily, but we'll try. What do you know about Naruto Uzumaki?" "Burn in hell," came the scream in reply. "He's good at this, isn't he, Itachi?" a blue-skinned, shark-like man asked, sword bandaged across his back. He'll break, as they always do, just a matter of time, Itachi replied, tear tracks marking his face. Pain will break him. The screaming stopped abruptly. Pain stepped out. Has he spoken? Kasame asked. Pain shook his head. Uzumaki is holding strong. He refuses to talk. Itachi raised an eyebrow. So much resilience for less than 5 years of contact, he thought, impressed. May I speak with him, Pain? Itachi asked. Pain waved him forward and turned away. Do as you please, and if you want, you can try gathering information as well, Pen replied while walking down the corridor. The rest of us will head into the meeting. Itachi entered the room without a word and found his blue-haired, amber-eyed partner suspended midair, wrapped in paper that seemed drenched in blood, now dark crimson. You may step aside, Conan. I can handle him on my own, Itachi said, and the brunette simply raised a single eyebrow in response. I'll stay, Conan said, her eyes fixed on the bound Taka. That paper is keeping him immobilized. Don't let his current state fool you. He's still incredibly dangerous, enough to concern even Bando. I doubt I have much to worry about, but if you wish to remain... Itachi paused before approaching Taka. As he moved closer, the paper covering Taka's face peeled back just enough to reveal his eyes. I need to see his entire face, Conan, Itachi said after a brief silence. Pain ordered his identity to remain concealed. His reasons are his own, Conan replied, stopping any further questioning. Itachi sighed softly and closed his eyes for a moment. When he reopened them, his Sharingan, 3 Tamo in each eye, glowed intensely. Taka's eyes widened at the sight, struggling slightly before a muffled scream escaped as the paper morphed into sharp blades that pierced his body. Itachi stepped back as blood-soaked paper folded up and fell to the floor. Behind Conan, he noticed a pile of red origami and flinched as Taka collapsed, his lower face still masked by paper. Intricate seals were burned into Taka's arms, chest, and back, forming a complex matrix that restricted his movements. Itachi could identify some tracking seals, chakra-suppressing marks, and even a blood-replenishing seal. Yet he was no seal expert, and the dozens of interconnected markings were both beautiful and lethal. Who did this? Itachi asked, observing the paralyzing mark on Taka. Pain, Conan said as she lifted Taka by his black and white streaked hair. How dangerous is he? Itachi asked, and Conan gestured to the seals. He's as harmless as a puppy at the moment, she said. Itachi nodded and dragged Taka upright, forcing him to meet his Sharingan. As Taka tried to close his eyes, a seal on his left shoulder activated, and his body trembled in pain. Itachi began a genjutsu assault, starting with a minor one. Taka was trapped in a crimson-tinged world, bound to a cross, unable to move. Nails drove into his torso, and he nearly bit his tongue to stifle his scream as Itachi approached. What do you know about Naruto Uzumaki? Itachi asked. Tell me everything and this can end. Taka remained silent, and Itachi sighed. Then you will endure this, Itachi said, wrapping barbed wire around Taka's throat. A twist of his fingers forced it to cut inward, the pain amplified by the genjutsu. Blood poured, coating Taka as the wire extended across his body, leaving him in relentless agony. His mental defenses are stronger than expected, Itachi thought. He could even resist Inoichi Yamanaka for nearly a day. Everything is shielded. I'll need a 2-pronged approach. Meanwhile, Convoy 3 was dull. Nothing ever happens here, we just sit around, one Chunin complained, tossing a kunai. Why did I even sign up? You needed the money, Tora, remember that gambling debt, his partner reminded him. Right, I'm terrible at poker, almost as bad as the Slug Princess, Tora said, lying atop the convoy with a small smile. You won't quit, though, the third Chunin remarked. Suddenly, the 2 guards from the trees fell out, screaming. Kikeichu Konoha intervened, a Jonin said, watching the black swarm engulf the panicked Chunin. Of course they'd send an Aburame. Bug users are a pain, they die too quickly. You may strike, Sakura. My Kikeichu have drained most of their chakra. I couldn't restrain them in time, my apologies, Shino said. Sakura nodded and leapt from the branch, moving like a blur. She took down 4 Chunin in seconds with precise strikes, blades of chakra slicing through them. I'll need precision, not brute force, Sakura thought, extending chakra blades along her arms. 1 Chunin charged, only to be pierced through the heart. Sakura then used his body as a shield against a barrage of kunai and shuriken. She planted explosive tags on him, flinging him into other groups before surging forward, faster than the incoming attacks. Katen, cremation flames! Several chunin shouted, combining fire into a massive wave. Sakura leapt over it, cursing as Raiten Jutsu fired at her. The Kikaichu consumed the chakra and formed a platform for her to launch into the trees. Shino calmly emerged, hands in pockets, his swarm spreading through the forest. "Surrender now or you'll die," he warned. "Great, and a burame," a chunin cursed, hurling explosive kunai and chakra-infused shuriken. Shino raised one hand, the Kikaichu shredded the weapons, consuming their chakra. "You are outmatched. My Kikaichu adapt instantly." "Stop now and live," Shino said, adjusting his glasses. A voice interrupted. "All of you retreat." A female Jonin landed. "I'll handle this kid, move the convoy." "Hi, Mikasama," the Chunin responded, fleeing. Shino pressed a finger to his ear. "Sakura, are you pursuing?" he asked. "I've set traps along the route. Do you need me?" Sakura replied. "Stick to the plan. I anticipated Jonin interference," Shino said, cutting the connection. "You should have taken her help, boy," Mika said, preparing her attack. Shino's swarm of Kikaichu emerged. "A smaller swarm will test her skills," Shino mused. Mika hurled Senbin into it, and explosions rocked the bugs. Shino used Shunsen to evade, realizing her experience was formidable. "He's better than the usual opponents," Mika thought, but she remained confident. Shino threw 6 shuriken, dodging another Senbin wave. Smoke bombs exploded as he recalled his Kikaichu. "I'll fight without my sensory net. Thankfully, training has prepared me for this," Shino thought, dodging descending Senbin. Shino's Kikaichu swarmed in, and with a reluctant groan, he sacrificed nearly a third of them to intercept the oncoming hail of Senbin. "That one just got lucky," Mika muttered, irritation clear in her tone. "This is why I despise bug users. Luck always makes me waste more Senbin." "Show yourself already, kid. I'll finish you fast," Mika yelled, hurling multiple Senbin toward the source of the noise. Without a sound, Shino appeared behind her and slammed his hand into the center of her back. "Seems like I was about to say the same thing," Shino remarked as he leapt away. Trackers set, he thought, letting most of his remaining swarm move forward. This batch was one of his rarest. A combination of metal-eating, high-speed chakra draining, miniature explosives, and other specially bred Kikaichu rarely used. Breeding these is such a pain. Losing most of them is annoying. "I'll need to replenish the main hive when I get back to the village," he mused, dodging the backlash from his attack. A black vortex enveloped Mika, but she only laughed, spinning and raining Senbin from all angles. The needles tore through parts of the vortex, which was thinning fast, from several meters thick to barely a meter. Shino cursed, retreating as the Senbin neared him. Her aim, it's superhuman, he thought in awe, never having seen someone use such tiny weapons with this level of precision. "You're getting on my nerves, kid," Mika shouted, stopping her spin as the vortex dispersed. "You should have run when you had the chance. Now I'll tear you apart piece by piece." Shino cursed under his breath, shrugging off his jacket and unclasping his shirt. "Looks like I'll have to go all out," he thought as his light blue chakra shimmered around him. "This is going to be messy." Meanwhile, Sakura moved with precision. The pink-haired Kunoichi swiftly severed the main artery of another Chunin and exhaled in relief. It was the last one. Her chakra scalpels faded away. "Finally, I thought this would never end," Sakura muttered, surveying the battlefield littered with weapons and dozens of corpses, some impaled, some lying as if untouched but still dead. "At least no normal weapons blood mess to clean," she thought, moving to one of the wagons. With superhuman strength, she ripped it open and flung the removed door aside. "Well, this isn't promising," she said, finding the wagon empty. "The real shipment must be elsewhere. These were decoys. With Kakashi, yes." "Finally broke it open," Kakashi cheered, opening the wagon to find nothing inside. "Seriously," he groaned. Shikamaru sighed. "Naruto still hasn't opened his. He's busy fighting, while neither Kurenai and Kiba nor Hinata and Naruto's clone have started attacking the other targets yet, though they're close. The convoys are converging, which means all 4 will have to face both guard groups simultaneously. This mission keeps getting worse, he thought. Sunagakuer, Gaara glanced up from the report his sister had sent as something struck the window. A wave of his hand opened it and a hawk flew inside. "Just ink," Gaara muttered. "Who can even pull this off?" "Run, boy, it's an explosive," Shukaku roared in his mind. Gaara noticed strange symbols, painted on the bird's underside. He shot sand to intercept it, but it detonated too quickly. The red-haired Kazekage was hurled across his office as sand shielded him from the fiery explosion. They packed fire in the bird too. He wondered, landing on the wall and forming hand signs. "Dotten, mud dragon," he called, spewing a massive mud dragon that quickly extinguished the flames. Gaara's gaze narrowed at more hawks flying into the village. "I recognize this style, Deidara," he realized. Sand shot up as spikes, forming a protective sea around the village. As the ceiling crumbled, Gaara rose, seeing Sunanin line the rooftops with shuriken launchers. "Take down those birds," Baki ordered, raining shuriken onto the ink-filled sky. "Their chakra is limited, they must be nearby." "This should work now, where are they?" Gaara thought, lifting into the air. Several enormous birds dived toward him. With a wave of his hand, they were pierced by sand blades, the falling ink compacted in a single sphere. He flung it aside and shielded his eyes from the explosion. Birds attacking from behind were blocked by a sand wall. The ink is explosive, not just the birds, Gaara realized, throwing off the residue. Some sand turned to glass under the heat. "They're trying to prevent me from using my sand." He formed hand signs as red chakra leaked into the sand. A massive ink bird floated above the desert, its rider visible in the distance. The sand beneath morphed into a giant claw, avoided by the bird, which released ink centipedes that detonated around the sand. Gaara responded with a towering wave of sand, rising high above the village. The bird avoided the wave, releasing smaller birds to detonate against it. He compressed sand into spheres, firing them like bullets at the bird. A black shield of ink formed, which his sand slowly ate through, but more birds were incoming, trailing explosive tags. Shuriken from the village walls intercepted them. The village is safe, for now, Gaara thought, watching humanoid sand ink creatures form and assault the walls, arms morphing into weapons to breach them. Sunanin countered with explosive kunai, but the massive figure, 3 times the wall's height, pressed forward. Gaara raised a hand, commanding the desert sand to form a replica of Shukaku, tackling the giant creature. "Baijudama!" he shouted, forming a black chakra sphere between red and blue orbs. The explosion consumed both the Shukaku clone and the Inksan giant. Shukaku's voice warned, "Those seals are strong, boy, don't overuse your sand." "I know, but..." Gaara was cut off by the Goliath rising again, flinging off sand. "Sand waterfall imperial funeral," he called, both fists forward. Wave after wave of sand crashed and compacted around it, lifting it into the air. "Die!" Gaara commanded, clapping his fists together. The sand imploded violently, compacting around the creature. But its strength resisted complete destruction, just short of liquefying it in a waterfall explosion. Gaara groaned under the strain, struggling to maintain control of the technique as the monstrous being emitted a deafening roar, tossing away the sand and nearly hurling Gaara from the sky. "Take that thing down," Baki barked through his earpiece while retreating. "If it keeps going like this, it'll breach the village." Shurikens shot from launchers slammed into the colossal creature, the explosive tags affixed to them detonating upon impact, chipping away at its massive body with each blast. "Use heavier fire," Baki commanded, prompting massive kunai launchers to be positioned atop rooftops. As the barrage hit, the creature became riddled with weapons, yet still it endured. Explosions tore through its form, but the seals on its body began to glow. Ink oozed from these seals, merging with the sand and binding the beast even tighter than before. "Keep hitting it," Baki shouted, and another volley of shurikens and kunai rained down. Even more projectiles struck, but the creature's roar flung them aside effortlessly. A vast wave of sand engulfed it, tossing the weapons out of the village entirely. Gaara's eyes hardened as he funneled chakra into his sand, then clapped his hands together. "Desert-layered imperial funeral," Gaara shouted. The sand covering the Inkansan behemoth compressed into a pyramid, quickly etched with intricate seals. "Thanks for helping, Shukaku. That thing was getting under my skin. Are we done yet?" the Ikibai replied. "I don't think so." "Would a Baijudama finish it?" Gaara asked, and Shukaku nodded. "It will require a huge portion of my chakra and counterseals to finally break it down." Shukaku's tone grew serious as he drew Gaara into the seal, locking eyes with him. You know what could happen if this goes wrong. Are you prepared? Shukaku asked. Gaara simply nodded. With a roar, Shukaku infused a final surge of chakra into Gaara, sending him out of the seal. In the real world, Gaara nearly collapsed, racked by agonizing pain. Then, a crimson chakra cloak erupted across him, spreading to the sand and marking it with glowing red veins. Gaara thrust his hands forward, and a massive tailed beast ball materialized before him, sand swirling to form a miniature Shukaku behind him. The Goliath roared, forcing itself free from its supposed tomb. He's going to destroy it, said the figure on the ink bird. The bird then took off from the village wall, leaving the shattered remains of fallen guards. But he's only a distraction. Bijudama, Gaara bellowed. The sphere surged forward, crashing into the figure just as it tore through its prison with a final roar. The resulting explosion was enormous, enough to obliterate Sunagakur if not for Gaara's reinforced sand shield, veins glowing with Shukaku's power. As the chakra cloak faded, Gaara allowed himself a small smile at the victory before focusing on the smaller incansoned creatures held at the village gates. I'll handle these now, he muttered. The crimson veins faded, and his sand surged forward, forming blades that skewered the creatures. Using Shukaku's last remnants of chakra, he formed seals across the sand. Pain lanced through him as blue vein-like markings spread across his body. Gaara screamed, falling from the sky, racked by unbearable agony. Kankuro! Kankuro! The puppet master heard his brother's cries and quickly turned to the 10 Jonin accompanying him. Split into squads, secure the walls immediately, Kankuro ordered before jumping off. Baki noticed both Kankuro and Gaara's plummet and realized the danger. Even with Shukaku's modified seal and his new mindset, the taint of his chakra is still dangerous, Baki thought, alarmed. He turned to the rooftop Chunin covering him. Keep the birds from the village. Stop the ink from hitting the ground, Baki commanded, then leapt after Kankuro. Both reached the fallen Gaara at the same time. Gaara clutched his head as the blue veins spread, whispers overtaking his mind. Shukaku, what's happening? He managed to ask. Kill. Stop, please stop. Blood. No, not again. Give me blood. Kill. No, blood, now. Shukaku observed from the seal as Gaara's mind twisted with violent impulses. I didn't expect my chakra to harbor so much negative emotion. I warned the boy, this plan was dangerous at best, Shukaku muttered, pacing inside his cage. Come on, Gaara, survive this. I don't want a new host. Gaara, Kankuro shouted from the rooftops, scanning the empty streets. Where is he? Baki asked, landing beside Kankuro with 3 Jonin in tow. Help me find him before it's too late, Kankuro yelled, leaping off. Scatter, search now, Baki commanded, then followed. Baki reached the collapsed Gaara first, just as ink snakes surged toward him. He threw explosive kunai, hoping his rushed strategy would work. The explosions transformed the snakes into harmless ink, triggering Gaara's sand shield and preventing injury. Baki fired a flare into the sky, signaling the others. Kankuro landed beside Gaara. What's wrong, Gaara? He reached for him, but sand wrapped around his hand, throwing him aside. They won't stop screaming, Gaara cried, slamming his head into the ground and breaking his armor of sand. Why won't they leave me alone? The 3 Jonin arrived, only to be knocked away by sand blasts. He's retraining himself. This would have destroyed them normally, Baki thought, noting the sheer strength required to resist the corrupted chakra. He reached for Gaara but was repelled by sand, narrowly dodging a crude blade formation. Ink birds dove at Gaara, prompting Baki to summon wind blades. Futon, blade of wind, he shouted. The gust shredded the birds and dispersed explosive ink. Ink mice surged from alleys, captured by 4 salamander puppets. Kankuro, on a rooftop, unrolled 3 giant scrolls. Black ant, Kankuro commanded, sending chakra threads into the scroll seals. 4 blurs carried salamanders into the air. Kankuro strained, controlling 8 puppets simultaneously. The salamanders dumped their captives, and black ants released bombs that obliterated the ink creatures. Baki dodged falling sand blades and shouted, Kaiskij, fight it! The blue veins on Gaara's sand were darkening, forming familiar patterns. Kankuro, I've got this, Kankuro called, recalling his puppets. Prepare the village for the worst, just in case. Both knew what the worst could mean. Shukaku freed again, unpredictable and dangerous. Come on, Gaara, you can beat this. Kankuro shouted, guiding explosives via black ants while dodging sand arms. Please, Gaara, push through. I can't hold this alone, Kankuro silently pleaded, maneuvering puppets to reseal salamanders and replace them with crows. Get down here, you're making it worse. A voice pulled Kankuro down as the puppet beneath him was destroyed. Chiyo-sama, he asked, standing to face the elderly puppet master. Of course, she said, taking Kankuro's scrolls and sending chakra threads flying from her fingers. I'll handle a fence while you keep Gaara safe. We've got each other's backs. Hi, Chiyo-sama. Kankuro replied with a smirk as a thick cloud of smoke enveloped them. Gaara's inner world. The Kazekage groaned, dragging himself slowly to a crouched position, only to feel a boot press down on his back, forcing him flat against the ground. Look at you, pathetic. I can't believe I ended up like this, a voice spoke, a voice Gaara could never forget. I'm not you anymore, Gaara growled, sand beginning to swirl around him. I am nothing like you. The sand surged forward as a massive wave, engulfing the figure. Dark veins spread across the form, and a guttural roar erupted from within, sending a flurry of clawed hands slashing toward Gaara. He leapt back, fists forming as jagged blades of sand erupted from the desert floor, shooting at the figure. The red-haired attacker merely laughed. A wave of his hand redirected the blades back at Gaara. Gaara jumped into the air as a platform of sand formed beneath him. Is this your best? Where's the killing intent? The figure taunted, lifting him with a swirling sand vortex. Where is that thirst for blood? Gaara thrust his hands forward. Sand bullets shot at him, but he clenched his fists, halting the assault. The sand swirled around the figure, then with a single crushing motion from Gaara's other fist, collapsed into a spinning sphere. Exhaling, Gaara descended to the ground. Finally, he's gone, he muttered, just as a clawed hand of sand lunged at him from behind. You really think that would stop me? The figure roared, rising from the desert in a towering version of themselves. Do you honestly think you can kill your own hatred? Gaara glared at his 12-year-old self as sand lifted him into the air again. I will stop you. I won't let you threaten my village or my friends again, Gaara shouted. The sand behind him obeyed his command as he sensed another presence joining him. I am the 5th Kazekage, and I will destroy you. Shukaku's massive form materialized behind him, roaring in agreement, the tanuki grinning from within its cage. Go on, kid, time to deal with this, it urged. Meanwhile, Naruto was feeling fatigued, slowly but surely. He flipped backward to dodge Jet's swing, aimed to trap him between the hook swords. Naruto slashed down with one Kulmilo blade, but Jet blocked it, aiming to crush Naruto's head with the blade-clad fists. The Uzumaki ducked, his other Kulmilo sword thrusting upward, enough to sever Jet's arm if he hadn't leapt back, unleashing a rain of explosive kunai. Naruto leapt back, slicing through razor-wire nets set behind him. Explosive tags forced him to retreat further, slicing incoming shuriken in half as they detonated on impact. Fighting his swords alone is tough, but when he adds traps and thrown weapons, I can barely launch any attacks, Naruto thought, exhaling. He stabbed a sword tip into the ground, stepping onto it as a pistol materialized in his hand. Zero, he whispered, firing a shot. Jet dodged, only to meet a grinning Naruto wielding both pistols, his sword embedded in a tree behind him. Zero Metroletta. Naruto unleashed a torrent of Zero energy, flipping over Jet and landing on his blade. Jet rolled through the explosions, grinning, as Naruto reformed his Kulmilo blades. Why not surrender? Naruto panted. You can't win. Jet merely smirked, channeling chakra into his swords. You fool, I don't need to beat you, just slow you down, Jet said. Naruto cursed as he saw the convoy moving in the distance. Enough! Naruto leapt, aiming both guns at the convoy. Blood dripped from a shoulder wound. Gran Ray Zero, he roared, unleashing a massive blue Zero that struck the convoy with a colossal explosion. Landing, he faced Jet, energy still crackling from the pistols. Want to keep this going? Naruto asked. Jet chuckled, stepping back. My job's done, it was a decoy anyway, he said, leaping into the trees and sheathing his swords. Naruto cursed, holstering his guns and vanishing in smoke, collapsing midway to the convoy, clutching his head. What's happening? He thought, wincing at the pain. Aimgakure, Taka screamed in agony until he could no longer even cry out. Are you done yet, Itachi? His screams are unbearable, Conan asked. Not yet, but his defenses are weakened, Itachi replied, stepping away from the suspended Taka. With Naruto, something's wrong, very wrong, he thought, dragging himself upright as the pain eased. Pain, leader, Rinnegan. A sudden mental shout nearly dropped him, but he recognized Taka's voice. That was a failsafe, a brief emergency link, Naruto muttered aloud, shaking off the effects. What forced him to use that? He moved toward the wrecked convoy, blasting it with Los Lobos again. Sealing his Zanpakuto, he formed hand signs and slammed his palm to the ground. A smoke poof revealed a clone, identical to him. Meet the others and use that old personality. I have business to handle, Naruto commanded before rushing off. With Shino, Mika laughed as Shino advanced, chakra enveloping him. Time to die, Mika shouted, launching 3 senbon from each hand. Shino let them pierce his arms, only for Kakachu to consume them. So, the clan heir, Mika mused, dodging Shino's strike while explosive senbon were intercepted by Kakachu. Shino slammed his hand to the ground, bugs bursting out. Mika leapt into the trees, pursued by the swarm. That should handle her, Shino thought, relief in his mind as the bugs tore through the area. More senbon flew, intercepted by Kakachu, but a second volley came, followed by a third that left him impaled. Got you, Mika shouted, releasing a 4th volley, fingers bristling with senbon. Undisclosed location, land of grass, Orochimaru smirked despite illness weakening him. His body was rejecting him, though normally he'd resist such things. This has to be Sasuke, he thought as the door opened. The last Uchiha entered, closing the door. Orochimaru, how are you? The Sannin chuckled, sitting upright. Enough pleasantries, student, I have pressing matters, Orochimaru said. I'm here to kill you, Sasuke said. A sword flew forward, but Orochimaru rolled off the bed, dodging a strike aimed at his side. Fool, I taught you everything about Kenjutsu, Orochimaru shouted, forming hand signs. Katen. Fire dragon bullet. Streams of dragon-shaped fire launched in all directions. Chidori blast! Birds chirped as lightning deflected the fire. Sasuke charged, sword in hand, other hand reaching into a pouch. Daten. Stone golem. Orochimaru spat out expanding stone, only for the Uchiha to sever its head midair. I taught you better than I thought, Orochimaru remarked, smashing a hand through the wall to reveal more space. But you forget I expected this. He bit both thumbs, slammed a hand on the ground, landing crouched. Summoning jutsu! 2 massive cobras shot forward in smoke, fangs bared and venom dripping below. Katen. Fireball jutsu! Sasuke shouted as he exhaled a massive stream of flames, forming it into a blazing sphere that slammed into the ground, scattering the snakes aside. The Uchiha surged forward at Orochimaru, who grinned while sidestepping the deadly sword swings aimed at him. The blade is laced with poison, no doubt Kabuto's work, Orochimaru mused, noticing the faint drops trailing from the sword. There's also a seal on it. Either it regenerates on its own, or it's the special type I had stored, the one that multiplies through chakra. A glancing cut nicked his neck, snapping him out of his thoughts. Orochimaru frowned and slammed his hand onto the floor. Raiten, bolt current! Lightning surged from his palms, covering the ground. Sasuke didn't even flinch, letting the current surge into him before the sound of birds chirping echoed again. Chidori bolt! He redirected the electricity into his hand and thrust it forward. Orochimaru narrowly dodged the attack that could have decapitated him. Impressive, he thought, a grin spreading. Even weakened, he keeps me on edge. Dodging a thrown kunai, Orochimaru disarmed it of its explosive tag and hurled it back towards Sasuke. The Uchiha avoided it, but the explosion's shockwave still sent him flying. Recovering midair, Sasuke drove his sword into the ground to stop his momentum, performing hand signs and leaving the weapon behind. Raiten, dragon's roar! Sasuke called as a dragon-shaped bolt of electricity surged forward. Orochimaru's grin widened. Sutin, water basin palm! Water erupted from his palm, electrified as it formed a shield, then shot toward Sasuke. He cursed, grabbed his sword, and vaulted onto the ceiling, hanging upside down to avoid the now waterlogged room. He formed hand signs while sheathing his sword, breathing deeply, but when he looked, Orochimaru had vanished. Futon, decapitating airwaves! A sudden gust sent Sasuke crashing into the wall. Orochimaru was already closing in, hands forming the next jutsu. Sutin, water dragon bullet. Massive water dragons surged from the flooded floor, crashing into Sasuke. The electrified water shocked him and smashed him through the wall. Orochimaru followed by detonating part of the wall with an explosive kunai, leaping through the breach to see Sasuke hurled to the room's center, already forming his next technique. Daten, swamp of the underworld. Sasuke sank into the ground, cursing, but quickly thought of a counter as Orochimaru landed before him. Meanwhile, in Sunagakure, the village had escaped major damage thanks to the Kazekige's swift response, but he was trapped in a sphere of sand, struggling with the remnants of Shukaku's influence. Do we risk leaving the Kazekige as he is? The council debated. We cannot be sure he'll maintain control. Now is our chance to act. Kankuro despised the council's interference. He had tried convincing Gaara to reform it into a true advisory body, but the Kazekige had other priorities. The council's decisions rarely held weight, yet now they were discussing killing his brother. Only Baki's stern glare prevented Kankuro from losing his temper. Is this really necessary? Kankuro asked, keeping his tone calm. Shouldn't we explore alternatives or confirm that the Kazekige is truly in danger? It's a huge risk to the village. Better safe than sorry. We also have candidates for a new Jinchuriki, Bato said, reminding Kankuro of the retired puppet master's past exploits against rogue Hyuga. If Shukaku resurfaces or the Kazekige loses himself, destruction could come swiftly. I trust my brother, and Lady Chiyo's seal should hold the One-Tail long enough to regain control if needed, Kankuro replied, buying time. Bato shook his head. Her seal was imperfect. Shukaku still exerted influence unseen in other Jinchuriki. Baki added, we have a dozen Jonin trained in sealing deployed nearby. They can intervene before things escalate. Satisfied, Bato agreed. Then we wait and observe. Relief spread among Kankuro and Baki. Gaara's well-being now had a buffer. Elsewhere in the Land of Wind, the attacker reached the border on an ink bird, surveying a burning watch post, only to be slammed by a sudden gust of wind, destroying his mount and forcing him into nearby trees. Get over here, you coward! Temeri's voice cut through as she unleashed a crescent of razor-sharp wind from her fan, felling trees. The figure scrambled, using a scroll to counter, but his ink beasts were scattered by Temeri's follow-up strike. Damn, intelligence didn't warn me about her power, he thought. With Kakashi and Shikamaru, the Jonin considered their strategy, realizing the possibility that their mission was a diversion while the real target moved undisturbed. This operation is probably doomed, Kakashi mused. Kurenai and Kiba, they arrived as Hinata eliminated the last Chunin guards. Kurenai intercepted 2 Jonin with kunai, while Kiba and Akamaru attacked another squad. Kiba, Hinata, form up, Kurenai commanded. Naruto's clone stepped forward, sword ready. I've got this. The main force is ahead while these squads slowed us, the clone said, signaling Hinata to advance. Kurenai launched forward, leaving a shadow clone behind to observe the battle. Pierce, Ganryumaru, the clone said. His katana crackled with lightning, transforming into a rapier, controlled yet charged. Let's see how strong you really are, Ganryumaru said, charging at the remaining Chunin and Jonin.